What is up, hooligans? Happy freedom. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hooligans, where we try to make the news suck a little less. I appreciate all of you guys being here. If you have a like button, please hit that like button. More likes, more hooligans. We're going to read through the schedule really quick. Then we're going to flip through all the chats. We'll go ahead and get her started. We do have a press briefing today. It's not supposed to start till 1:30, which is 2 minutes ago or so. And their live hasn't even kicked over yet, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, outside of that, at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the Orange Eagle is expected to be on stage. He's supposed to be delivering remarks in Houston, Texas. I'm going to do my best to cover it, but I didn't get my car yesterday. So here we are, day 3 or 4 maybe, where I have to call after the live to see if the car is done. It's a whole bunch of dicking around, and it's driving me crazy. It's making me really crazy. Anyways, we're going to try and do that. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Orange Eagle, Houston, Texas. But we'll be starting off this live with a video titled Trump lawyer sees absolute coordination after Don Jr. testimony day. Don Jr. just took the stand testifying against his dad because he was subpoenaed to do so or indicted or whatever. And from what I could tell, he did what I thought. He went up there and just was like, I don't know anything about anything. And I guess that's what he did. That's what it sounds like anyways. Then we have a video titled Old Man Walter's New Green Deal is Falling Apart. That's a Jesse Waters video. Actually, I think it's 2 Jesse Waters videos in a row. The next one's titled Nancy Pelosi was just subpoenaed for criminal dealings of some sort. I don't know that she's necessarily being accused of doing crime, but in a criminal case, she's been subpoenaed, so that's interesting. I still don't think anything's going to happen, but we'll see. Then we have a video titled New York Times slammed for abominable spinning of vandalism of Hamas hostage posters, which, I don't know, people in the streets of America fighting each other over sticking flyers on flagpoles that doesn't have anything to do with America. So I don't know. It's like watching the BLM thing happen all over again, but it's about stuff that isn't happening here. People are getting just as mad, things are getting just as crazy, but the problem isn't even happening here. So, I don't understand that at all. It looked like a bunch of dumb people fighting about shit that doesn't have anything to do with them. Then we'll be wrapping things up with our last video. It's titled, Do you think that this is wrong? Josh Hawley asks Biden nominee if he would censor Americans, and he goes into detail. This is the longest video we've shown in a while. It's almost 8 minutes long, but it's Josh Hawley interviewing this nominee of some sort, and he goes into great detail about how the federal government pretty much turned social media into a part of the government, and they pick and choose who's getting censored and who isn't, and how it's unconstitutional and all that stuff, and interviews the nominee to ask him if he would participate in the censorship of Americans. Of course, he said no, but they all say no. They will actively censor us and say no at the same time because they're a bunch of bastards. Anyways, moving forward. Well, they did just flip their live over, so I imagine KJP will be out soon. So we'll probably be starting with the press briefing. But we're going to flip through the chat really quick, make sure everything is running smoothly. And then I got some shout outs here we're going to do before we start the press briefing. What is up, everyone, over on jeffmaclive.com. What's up, Annette? What's up, Hair Juicer? Happy freedom, you hooligans. Appreciate you guys being here. I am going to be trying to edit our chat a little bit. I think I'm going to try and make the text smaller so we can see more in the chat on mobile view than we can at this current time. I was unaware, but I guess the chats are really big if you're on your phone, and it's hard to see more than like 2 comments at a time. So I will be adjusting that. So if you see changes later today or tomorrow, that's why. What's up, everyone over on Rumble? Happy freedom, you hooligans. What's up, Snooks? What's up, Christy Star? What's up, Lifelike? What's up, Shannon? What's up, Ghostly? What's up, Speedy Girl? What's up, Disco? What's up, Dawn? What's up, Pumpkin? What's up, Serum? What's up, Miss Jamie? Happy freedom, all of you hooligans. Appreciate you guys being here. What's up, Disco? Let's see. Reading through. What's up, Nana? Happy freedom. Speedy Girl, just saw a video of Charlie Kirk on Rumble. Has someone ripping down the missing person flyer, and it had razor blades, cut the shit out of their hand. I seen that on TikTok too. Yeah, they're arming the flyers. They're putting razor blades on the edges, so when they go to tear them off, they cut their hands open with razor blades. Again, it is stupid shit happening that has nothing to do with America. I don't know why Americans are so pissed off about something going on in the Middle East. It just, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's religious stuff or what it is, but it seems dumb as hell to me. It's like having your house on fire, but then the house next door's got decorations you don't like, and so you're just out there screaming and bitching about your neighbors while your own house is on fire. It just, I don't get it. I don't get it. It must be hard being real soft and stupid, because I just don't get it. You could be mad about the Middle East. It sucks here. You should be mad about how things are going here. It must be nice not having problems in your life. It's the only thing I could think of. It doesn't make any sense to me. What's up, everyone over on Odyssey? Happy freedom, you hooligans. It's nice to get Odyssey running on a daily basis again. We were kind of hit or miss there for a moment. What's up, everyone over on D-Live? Happy freedom, you hooligans. D-Live needs to do some promotion or something. They don't have enough viewers over there. Almost every day we're streaming to nobody. What's up, everyone over on Kick? Happy freedom, you hooligans. Appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, it's running. Thought we weren't running for a second there. What's up, everyone over on Twitch? What's up, Matt? Let's see. Would Mr. Beansy Beans jump in and jump out? Well, thank you so much, Mr. Beansy Beans, for gifting a sub over on Twitch. I appreciate you, Mr. Beansy Beans. And let me grab this Rumble link for GoofTube. As you hooligans know, I will not be showing the Orange Eagle over on GoofTube. It is against their community guidelines. Anything that has to do with America or free speech or freedom at all is against community guidelines over on GoofTube. So 5 p.m. Eastern time, if we are able to cover the Orange Eagle, if I don't have to go get my car, but hopefully I do, we will be showing the Orange Eagle, but just not on YouTube. Let's see. Ka-chow. Read through the chat really quick. What's up, High Plains Drifter? What's up, Toy Mafia? What's up, T. Lawden? What's up, Jerry? What's up, Tim? What's up, 24/7? What's up, B? Happy freedom, Snugs. Happy freedom, all of you hooligans. What's up, DJ Kenny? Let's see. Yep, you're right on time. You're right on time. What's up, Blue Crow? What's up, Anthony? Happy freedom. What's up, Jonathan? What's up, Rhyme Time? What's up, Wacko? What's up, Marty? Marty, the police in London are taking down the same posters. I think I seen something about that. They're considering it like vandalism or whatever. The same thing as if you tag the wall, so they're just pulling the posters down. What's up, Wacko? What's up, Lion's Heart? Happy freedom. What's up, George? What's up, Doug? Appreciate you hooligans being here. I imagine pretty soon this press briefing is going to get kicking off. What's up, Hair Juicer? What's up, Matt? Happy freedom, you hooligans. So I'm going to give these shout outs really quick. I don't know if everybody's here, but now is the time to do it. I'd like to give a big shout out to Cassandra. Thank you so much for all the support. You're awesome, Cassandra. Thank you so much, Margaret, for all the support over the years. It's been years. Thank you so much, Margaret. You're so awesome. Thank you so much, John, for the buy me a coffees yesterday. I really appreciate you, John. And thank you so much, Mr. Frizzy Fro, for sending me money to replace my phone. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the support. And I want you hooligans to think that I didn't notice. So I made a note here to not forget to shout you guys out. So thank you so much. So this is what we're looking at. It did kick over, but we're just waiting for the press room to pop up on the screen here. I guess while we're waiting for that, I'll remind you guys, go check out the Screaming Goat t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, zipper hoodies, stickers, coffee mugs, and whatever else we got over on their merch store. You can get that design or free the Orange Eagle, Jeff Mac logos, Hooligan badges, bars and stars. We still got the spooky hooligan stuff up. We got all kinds of stuff. And either tomorrow... I'm thinking it's either going to be tomorrow or during Free Speech Saturday. I'm going to release the next design. Not sure which it's going to be yet. I got like 30-something designs ready to go. I got some Klaus Daniels designs. We'll see. I got some new Second Amendment designs that are pretty hardcore. 2A all day until I die. Bold statements. We'll see who's tough enough to rock those shirts. We'll see how it goes. The next couple days, I'll release the shirts. Just to let you guys know. Let's see. We're going to pull up someone else covering the press briefing room. So maybe we can see when they get the 2-minute warning. She's supposed to be coming out Captain Hot Dog Fingers, so I'm not really excited about doing this. I miss the press briefings being, like, entertaining. What the hell, is nobody even covering it? All the other news, they're like, nah, we're not doing it anymore. It's a bunch of nothing. It's a bunch of Captain Hot Dog Fingers coming out, wagging his fingers all over the screen, talking about the Middle East like we care. And then KJP gets up there, she starts shaking and stuttering from her drug addiction withdrawals, and well, then we never get any answers. We get a bad taste in our mouth, and then we have to move on with the day. So, I mean... damn press briefing. Nobody else is covering it. Not that I can find. Nobody else is covering it. Weird. Well, we might just start off with our own stuff since they're doing all that screwing around. Let's see. What is this first video? Well, we'll see if we can pull this off. Chances are everything will start all at once because that's how my luck goes. But it is what it is. So we're going to be starting off with this first video titled Trump Lawyer Sees Absolute Coordination After Don Jr. Testimony Day. I think, I don't remember all of his kids' names, but I think another one of Trump's kids is supposed to testify today also. I haven't seen anything about it, but when we were looking at it yesterday, that's what they were saying, is that today was supposed to be Don Jr., tomorrow is supposed to be someone else, and I think next Friday is supposed to be his daughter or something like that. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Let's see. Cut this off. All right. Once again, this is Don Jr. Testimony Day. Let's get it started, hooligans.
Here now to address the double standard of justice happening in today's America is attorney and spokeswoman for President Trump, Alina Habba. Alina, you were in court today. Tell us how it all went down. Don Jr. was there, I believe, testifying as well. Tell us.
Yeah, we had a very strong day today. There you go. That's us. Don was clear, concise, made it very clear that he relied on professionals, and I think the testimony speaks for itself, frankly. They did nothing wrong. We know this, Eric. This is not a witch hunt that has any meat to it. Most of them are completely nonsensical, as we know, but it was an event for Miss Letitia James to show up and have her press moment, and that's why, this is all happening. Let's just not get it twisted. It's political. And
I just talked to Rudy Giuliani about it. No one was hurt. There's no, it's a victimless, quote unquote, crime. I can't believe they're wasting so much of people's time and money. And frankly, I guess it was a political witch hunt trying to get Trump off the incredible run he was having, and it only fortified it.
That's right. Well, not only was nobody hurt, people made money. The banks made money. The banks are sophisticated lenders. This is Deutsche Bank we're talking about. This is Ladder Capital. These are not people that are mom and pops that don't understand.
Wait, may I ask, they're not plaintiffs. None of them are plaintiffs. Is that right?
They're not plaintiffs because they've never brought anything because there was never a default. They made money. They were paid on time. They made judgment calls. The Trump organization, the Trump family, as everybody knows, is incredibly and are incredibly wealthy, are succeeding and thriving despite the attacks that they come at with them. And the truth of the matter is this is too tight. President Trump up and now his family, which is a whole new low. So that they cannot campaign and be doing what they need to do. Unfortunately, it's not working for them. If you look at the poll numbers, he's doing amazing. And frankly, they're just giving him a platform. Does it mean it's right? No, but they're miscalculating their steps. And as much as PR as Ms. James, for instance, in this case has, she really needs to educate herself on how to do this properly. I think that's why she failed as her run for governor.
Now, Control, do you have that soundbite of Trump calling this election interference?
I'd rather be in New Hampshire, South Carolina, or Ohio, or a lot of other places, but I'm stuck here because I have a corrupt attorney general that... I know, looking...
All right, the press briefing starting all of a sudden, just like I said it would. So we're going to go into this and we'll cover that video over again, I suppose, because these guys are racing in here like she's supposed to be on stage any second. We got Peter Ducey in the house. Tis what it is. My apologies, hooligans. I can't do anything about it. We'll cover the rest of that video. We'll just play it from the beginning again after we get through with the press briefing because, well, we'll need a fresh brainwashing after all this nonsense. So it'll be good to go. Don't you worry. Let's see. Matt, it's the depressed briefing. It is. It is. It's weird because we're all kind of in agreement that nobody likes the press briefing, but then when I don't show the press briefing, only half of you show up. So I don't know what to do about it, because I can't stand the press briefing. I just do it for you guys. So what is she wearing today? I'm thinking red. I'm thinking red. Part of me wants to say pink, but I'm thinking red today. Elder Zoomer, you're saying orange? What the hell? Aw, damn it, I could have got pink. I mean, is that pink? That's like vaginal disease pink, right? Is that what we're going with? Anyways.
Tomorrow, the President and the First Lady will travel to Lewiston, Maine.
Prostitute.
While there, they will pay respects to
The green waffle.
the horrific shooting attack last week and grieve with the families and community members who have been affected by this senseless act of violence. The President will also meet with the brave first responders, dedicated nurses, and others on the front lines of the response. Unfortunately, this type of trip by the President has become too familiar, far too familiar. Too many times the President and the First Lady have traveled to communities completely torn apart by gun violence. As the President said last week, this is not normal, and we can't accept it as normal. So while Friday will be a solemn day and a time for the President to be with Americans who are in mourning, he will also continue to demand that Congress act. They must pass an assault weapons ban. They must enact universal background checks. They must help states across the country adopt and strengthen red flag laws.
That doesn't do anything to criminals, though, you fucking idiot.
His power, to end this gun violence epidemic. And I would note that Greg Jackson, the Deputy Director of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, has been on the ground in Maine all of this week, helping to marshal a whole of government response to support the people of Maine. Today, as I've been talking about almost every day in the briefing room, is part of our 10 Days of 10 Drugs series. We're highlighting Farxiga, a drug used to treat diabetes, heart failure, and chronic kidney disease that was selected for Medicare price negotiation as part of President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Last year, hundreds of thousands of Medicare beneficiaries spent an average of up to $448 out out of pocket for this life-saving drug, while Big Pharma made record profits and spent nearly $400 million on lobbying to keep prices high for American families. For years, politicians talked about taking on Big Pharma and allowing Medicare to negotiate for lower drug prices for seniors. President Biden and, of course, congressional Democrats finally got that done by passing the Inflation Reduction Act without a single Republican vote. As a result, insulin is now capped at $35 a month for seniors, and for the first time ever, instead of drug companies charging Americans whatever they want for
I'll be right back.
Medicare will be able to negotiate lower prices for drugs like Farxiga. And finally, before I turn it over the past few months, you have heard scores of current and former national security officials, veterans, and hundreds of military spouses and families sound the alarm on Senator Tommy Tuberville's dangerous blockade on many and nearly 380 military appointments. Yesterday, Republican senators joined that call, and I will lay out a few quotes from some of them. Senator Republican leader Mitch McConnell said those holds are a bad idea. Republican Senator Joni Ernst said that Tuberville was using nominees as political pawns, and I do not respect men who do not honor their word. Republican Senator Dan Sullivan said that Tuberville's blockade is 100% wrong, will be remembered as a national security suicide mission and a downgrade of our readiness. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said, Senator Tuberville, is doing great damage to our military. Let me say that again. Senator Tuberville is doing great damage to our military. Republican Senator Todd Young said Tuberville's holds just doesn't make sense to me. And Republican Senator Mitt Romney said, we recognize that there is a personal suffering as well as issues of military readiness, so we need to act. We need to act. Nearly all of them warned of the risk we face of service members leaving military service if its blockade continues. So we agree. We've been very clear about this for the past several months. These vacancies are causing serious damage to our military readiness and our national security. And they are causing stress and disruption to our military families across the chain of command and for military spouses and also their families. The world is too dangerous. It is too dangerous to play political games with our military. So we are pleased to see that the Senate is taking action. Senator Tuberville needs to end this damaging hold on all of our military nominees as soon as possible. Now, with that, I will turn it over to Admiral John Kirby from NSC, who knows this very, very personally, understands this well.
No, I've already had enough of Kirby.
Afternoon, everybody. Let me get my cheaters out here. I think you all heard the president address this earlier today, but thanks to his leadership and the intensive diplomacy that we've been involved in, more Americans have been able to get out of Gaza today. As the president said, so far, 74 U.S. citizens and family members arrived on the Egyptian side. That's in addition to the 5 Americans who departed Gaza yesterday. And I want to stress that these numbers are changing in real time. Embassy Cairo has deployed a consular team to the Rafah crossing to support all these folks, make sure they get back to the embassy, and then we work with them on onward movement as appropriate. We obviously continue to be focused on getting as many Americans out as quickly as possible, and we still fully expect that more Americans will be able to depart, hopefully more today, but certainly we're looking for them to depart at a similar pace, if not better than what we've seen. But again, I want to stress again, it's a fluid situation. Obviously, intensive diplomacy has been underway to open up the Gaza side of the border for foreign nationals and for some wounded Palestinians as well. In times of crisis, of course, like this, we rely on our friends, and today's positive news would not have been possible without the assistance of Qatar or, frankly, the leadership of President Sisi of Egypt, who, of course, I think you know President Biden spoke to last Sunday. We're grateful for his leadership and his efforts. On the humanitarian
How many times are you going to say that?
55 trucks with life-saving humanitarian assistance, including food, water, and medicine, were able to make their way into Gaza via the Rafah crossing. We're hoping that the number of trucks crossing into Gaza will continue to increase as well. We know that 55 more trucks, which brings us to more than 220 total since the 21st, is not enough. And we're going to continue to work to get more in there. Increasing that aid has been a top priority of the president and a keen focus of his diplomacy. Speaking of diplomacy, today the president's going to participate in 2 bilateral meetings. Actually, I think he's already done the one, met with President Luis Abinader of the Dominican Republic to discuss a host of shared priorities, including deepening bilateral economic ties, advancing our democratic principles and labor rights, as well as addressing the security situation in Haiti. And then later today, he's going to meet with President Gabriel Boric of Chile to discuss issues of shared concern, including promoting further economic cooperation, combating climate change, and addressing irregular migration. And of course, all of those discussions, those 2 bilateral meetings come just ahead of the inaugural America's Partnership for Economic Prosperity Leaders Summit that's here at the White House. And we're glad to have the participation of all members of the partnership here for this summit. The majority of them will be at the leader level. This Leaders Summit advances President Biden's commitment to strong regional partnership in the Western Hemisphere, as he announced during last year's Summit of the Americas. Taken as a whole,
I'm so burned out on Kirby. As soon as his voice starts, it's just elevator music going on in my head. I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. I just know it's not America.
Supply chains in the Americas continue to address our shared migration challenge and build meaningful economic opportunity across the hemisphere. Okay.
Thanks, John. Can you tell us a little bit more about the humanitarian pause, what that would look like, what it...
No, please don't.
How it would work?
Sure. I think we've talked about this before, Colleen. I mean, we're really not just talking about like one pause. What we're trying to do is explore the idea of as many pauses as might be necessary to continue to get aid out and to continue to work to get people out safely, including...
You said getting aid out?
The president already worked on one such pause when we were able to get those 2 Americans.
He's always saying weird stuff.
Kind of looking at. And just to remind, when we're talking about humanitarian pause, what we're talking about are temporary, localized pauses in the fighting to meet a certain goal or
Matthew hit him with a double pause.
get people out.
And is that something that can happen immediately? I mean, where is the Israeli prime minister on this? Is he willing to continue to do this, especially if it's more than one pause?
Well, we were able to work with him to help get Americans out before, and so we're certainly hoping that kind of cooperation will continue. But each instance of it, each effort to get a pause is going to be unique in its own way, and it's going to require negotiation and diplomacy. And the president, you heard him talk about this yesterday, is 100% committed to doing what it takes to pursue that kind of diplomacy.
The UN Human Rights Office is raising some serious concerns about the Israeli airstrike at the refugee camp, saying they have serious concerns that these are disproportionate attacks that could amount to war crimes. Does the administration share the UN's concerns?
We certainly don't want to see a single civilian hurt or killed in this conflict.
That was hard to say, wasn't it, Kirby face?
Yes, as it is. Each one is tragic in its own right, as I've said, Mary, and we're doing everything we can to work with our Israeli counterparts to try to minimize the risk of civilian deaths and collateral damage.
But do you believe that this refugee camp was a legitimate target?
I'm not in a position to say it is or it isn't. As I said, these are questions for the Israeli Defense Forces. These are their operations, and they, and only they, can...
Is that how they identify as they?
The way they're conducting the operations. What we
Is Hamas they, them? Not sure.
The tools and capabilities, including...
Make sure you address them appropriately on the battlefield.
...that we've learned in this kind of warfare as they venture into these operational decisions, because they have a legitimate threat by Hamas, an organization that wants to wipe them off.
Cracking myself up over here. What's up, Rappy? Happy freedom.
We're going to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help them minimize civilian casualties and get humanitarian assistance in.
And one quickly on Tuberville. He's made pretty clear this morning again that he is not going to be changing his position. Would the president support changing the Senate rules to get around Tuberville's blockade?
That's for the Senate to decide. The president wants, as Kareem said, wants the hold lifted. I mean, you're talking about 375 officers at this point, 379 positions, because some of them are dual hat nominations. That's a whole lot of senior leadership that can't move right now. And let me just give you an example here, now that you made me think of it. Let's just take a look at the Central Command region of the world.
He thinks he's really about to say something.
But here's some of the positions that are being affected by Mr. Tuberville. The 5th Fleet Commander, that's the fleet that's in the Gulf region. The Deputy 5th Fleet Commander. The Deputy Central Command Commander. The Defense Attaché to Israel. The Commander of the 380th Air Expeditionary Wing. The Chief of Staff at U.S. Central Command. Oh, and here's a good one. The Deputy Director of Strategy, Plans, and Policy for U.S. Central Command. The person that actually helps write our operational plans and executes policy decisions at that level. And more than that. I mean, it's beyond ridiculous that this one senator is having this kind of an impact on our operational readiness. And if you don't think it isn't, I would urge him or anybody else who doubts this, go on down to Tampa, Florida, and talk to the folks in Central Command about their priorities and what they're trying to do on behalf of our administration's policy in the Middle East, especially right now with everything.
Is that what you do? You just pull up in Tampa, Florida, you just say, hey, Kirby sent us.
It's also having
We have questions.
on family members and folks who can't get schools for their kids, can't buy or rent houses, don't know where they're going to be living next. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Thanks, Kirby. The Vice President was over in London and said that if Israel and Ukraine aid were bifurcated, that the President would veto it. You over the last couple of days have explained that you would veto something with offsets, especially involving the IRS. But I wanted to be clear: if the President was presented with a clean,
The lady next to him looks like death.
without Ukraine, he would veto that as well.
The President believes that the supplemental request that we submitted contains 4 really critical national security urgent needs. Israel, Ukraine, our Indo-Pacific resourcing, particularly when it comes to manufacturing of submarines, and of course border security. All 4 are important. And the whole idea of an urgent supplemental is you're submitting what you think are urgent requests, and the President wants to see all of them honored, all of them acted on by Congress, all of them together. We wouldn't have submitted it that way if we didn't believe that they all weren't important and should be acted on together.
Obviously, you guys want to see them all 4 together, but lawmakers are trying to figure out right now how to kind of negotiate through this, and it seems to be sort of an unclear signal from the administration. So was the Vice President correct? He would veto an Israel-only bill if it didn't have other issues that you were concerned about?
The President would veto an only Israel bill. I think that we've made that clear.
Thanks, Admiral. The President keeps saying Israel needs to follow international law. Israel needs to follow international law. That suggests that he thinks that Israel isn't following international law, doesn't it?
No.
Why would he be saying that if he felt that Israel was doing everything it needs to do to prevent civilian casualties?
We've been saying it since the very beginning, Nancy, that we want to see our good friend and partner abide by our shared commitments to the respect for civilian life and the respect for the law of war. We've been saying that since dang near the beginning of it.
I've never heard him say that Ukraine needs to follow international law. So he seems to be making a point of this, particularly when it comes to Israel. Does that signify that he has...
Well, these are different conflicts. Right. And Ukraine was the victim of a massive invasion by a neighboring nation. And their military operations have been, with the exception of the counteroffensive where they're going after Russian positions, been largely defensive in nature. It's a different situation than what the Israeli Defense Forces are doing inside Gaza, going after Hamas terrorists in a fairly aggressive way.
Question about the evacuees. The President said 70-something dual citizens were able to make it out today. How many days do you anticipate it will take to get all of the Americans who want to leave out of Gaza?
We don't know. I mean, as I said in my opening statement, we hope that number can increase over coming days and we can get them all out very, very soon. Today's progress, I mean, yesterday it was 5, today so far, as you and I are speaking, it's 74. We're hoping that number could increase throughout the day, hoping. So that's a good sign that the trajectory is going in the right direction. We want to get them all out as soon as possible, but I couldn't put you couldn't put a date on the calendar and tell you that's it.
And just very quickly, is part of the deal that none of them will stay in Egypt, that they'll all leave and go elsewhere?
That's going to be up to them. I mean, they're free citizens. They're American citizens, and they've got families to look after, and that's why we're getting them all collected at the embassy in Cairo, and our consular staff who collected them, verified all their identities, got them on buses, and now we're going to be working on whatever onward movement they might want. Some may not want that, but we'll work that out individually with each family.
Thank you, Kareem. John, the Israelis are saying that referring to Jabalia as a refugee camp is a misnomer. Is that the position of the administration as well?
I'll leave the Israeli Defense Forces to speak to their operations.
And then on the bilateral with Abinader, did the Dominican-Haitian border dispute come up, and what is the U.S. position on that?
The discussion around Haiti was largely over the security situation in Haiti and our continued efforts to want to work with the international community to do what we can to hold those accountable who are causing that insecurity and the violence, but also to work on ways throughout the region to provide relief to the Haitian people.
Thanks. John, so talking about getting Americans out of Gaza, President Biden said, I want to thank our partners in the region and particularly Qatar. The leader of Hamas lives in Qatar. So why is President Biden thanking them for anything?
Oh, geez, Peter. Let's take a step back here and look at this.
Geez,
Qatar
Peter,
was...
They are a terrorist group that killed Americans and kidnapped Americans within the last month.
Peter, Qatar has been helpful in getting those Americans out. I'm sure you would agree with me, and everybody at your network would agree, that getting American hostages out is a good thing. And Qatar was a key player in that regard. Qatar has lines of communication with Hamas that almost nobody else has. Now, I'm not saying that we support Hamas. Of course we don't. They're a terrorist organization. And Israel has an absolute right to go after them. But Qatar has lines of communication that not everybody else has. And it would be irresponsible. In fact, I would expect that you and everybody else in here would be going after me if we weren't doing everything we could and having every possible conversation we can have to get Americans that are held hostage back home with their families. If we weren't doing that, it would be diplomatic malpractice. Let me read something to you, if you don't mind. I think I want to put this into some context here. Let me tell you what we're dealing with Hamas. Oh, geez, this is your notebook, Kareem. Sorry. This fellow at Hamas, a guy named Ghazni Hamad, he did an interview a couple of days ago. He said, Israel's a country that has no place on our land. We must remove it because it constitutes a security, military, and political catastrophe to the Arab and Islamic nation and must be finished. We are not ashamed to say this with full force. We must teach Israel a lesson, and we will do this again and again. That's what the Israeli people are up against. And that's the group that are holding innocent Americans as well as 200. And you're going to say, well, then why are you talking to them? And why are you? No, I'm not.
If Qatar is
no,
so
I'm
helpful,
not.
why aren't we asking them to hand over the leader of this terrorist
We are
group?
working with Qatar to get our people out and to help get aid in. That's a priority right now. And obviously, we're also helping Israel go after Hamas.
And as you push the Israelis for humanitarian pauses, are they just supposed to sit back and let Hamas attack them and attack them and attack them and not fight back?
We have been crystal clear that Israel has the right to defend themselves. I mean, my goodness.
Pause means they can still shoot back.
My goodness, Peter, we're giving them security assistance almost every day. But do we advocate pauses by both sides here, temporary, localized, to be able to get Americans out, to be able to get aid in? You betcha we do. That doesn't mean that we're calling for a general ceasefire. Hang on a second. There's a difference. There's a big difference here. And we understand that, as I said earlier, humanitarian pauses have to be negotiated, and you have to have a credible basis for doing it in a temporary, localized way. I would also expect that we would get a lot of criticism from you and from your network and others if we just eschewed the whole idea of some sort of temporary pause so that people couldn't get out. I mean, we're doing exactly what you should be doing to try to look after these folks.
So a pause does not help Hamas.
A temporary pause that's localized, that would allow us to get aid in and to get our people out, is a good thing for the people of Gaza. It's a good thing for the Americans that are being held hostage. And it's not going to stop Israel from defending itself, because the security assistance we're providing continues to flow. And a temporary pause doesn't mean a general ceasefire where the war is over. It means pause, only temporary, for a specific purpose.
MJ, the temporary ceasefire that the president said he had convinced Prime Minister Netanyahu to put in place to get the renons out. Can you tell us more about that? Was it localized? Was it for a short period of time? Just anything about the parameters of that?
No, I won't go into the details of that, since we're going to be trying to see what we can do to get additional temporary pauses, humanitarian pauses in place. But in order to move hostages from where they were being held to safety, it does require a short pause in the fighting so that you can do it safely. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, it would be completely unsafe and irresponsible if you weren't trying to find some safe passage for a hostage that you got released while there's an area of combat going on.
Andrew, Admiral, earlier this week you had said after the first airstrike in Jabalia that it's obvious to us that Israel is trying to minimize civilian casualties. Now that you've had more time to see and assess the situation there, would you still say it's obvious that Israel is trying to minimize civilian casualties?
We see in the scope of their operations that they are making efforts to try to minimize civilian casualties. That does not mean, and I did not say, that they aren't still causing some, that their operations aren't still causing some. They are, and each one's tragic. Each one shouldn't happen, and we have been crystal clear about that.
Would you say with Jabalia specifically?
I'm not going to talk about a specific event.
But why not?
Because I'm not going to litigate an operational event that our military is not involved in almost real time. I'm just not going to do that.
Thanks so much, Willie Fix-It, for the 2 lemons over on D Live. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Casualties. Isn't an airstrike that targets a refugee camp or a densely populated civilian area, isn't that sort of the definition of not minimizing civilian casualties?
That is a question for the Israeli Defense Forces. They should have to answer questions about the decisions they're making on the battlefield and how they're doing their targeting and how they're doing their operations. We're not gonna throw it in from the sidelines here, all the way in Washington D.C. I'll just tell you again what I've said 100 times already. We're having daily conversations with our Israeli counterparts about their thinking, about their plans, about their strategy, about the execution of that strategy, and continuing to urge them to do everything they can to minimize civilian casualties.
So on this, you wouldn't weigh in, even though the president and everyone on down said that the minimizing civilian casualties is incredibly important, that it's something that he is talking to his counterpart about all the time.
What I said was, I'm not going to weigh in from the podium and make public, provide public analysis in near real time of operations that U.S. forces aren't involved in.
Thank you. Given the intensity of the IDF bombing across Gaza and reports that even areas that are considered to be safe passage are being targeted, is there any concern that Americans who want to get to Rafah can't get to Rafah? And then I have a second question.
I don't know what the status is of how many of all Americans in Gaza are down at Rafah. I just don't know. That's a better question for the State Department. I do know, we believe that the vast majority of American citizens who we know are in Gaza are down there. But I can't tell you with certitude that there's not family members elsewhere that haven't made it their way down or can't make their way down. The other thing I can tell you is I know the State Department is in direct contact with all the American families in Gaza and keeping them informed, particularly those that are coming up on the lists for departure. They're being notified where to go, when to be there. And as far as I know, and again, a better question for the State Department, that there isn't, that we aren't aware of American families that are trying to get down there and can't. But again, that's a better question for my colleagues.
My second question, the Independent has reviewed a list of 400 Americans who have been cleared to leave by the Egyptians, the Israelis, and so forth. There have been prior reports that there were I believe, between 500 and 700 Americans in Gaza. So I'm just curious about this discrepancy. There are 400 cleared to leave. If there are several hundred more in Gaza, is there a reason that they have not been cleared to leave? Have they not asked? Are they on some other list? And why then would the U.S. Not object to U.S. passport holders not being allowed to exit?
So what you're talking about a rolling process here. I think our estimate is somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 U.S. citizens, and that includes, dual nationals and legal permanent residents and family members. So then the pool is somewhere in that number, somewhere there, about 400 families. But this is a rolling process of getting folks out. So we know that there have been 400 that have gotten through that process, and we fully expect that the rest of them will get through that as well.
Thank you, Corinne. John, I have a question on the Islamophobia strategy, but first 2 quick ones on Gaza. In London, the Vice President said that every Gazan who wants to go back after the war will be allowed to. Does the President agree, and how will the U.S. ensure that Israel will allow this?
Say that again?
The Vice President in London said that every Gazan who wants to go back after the war will be allowed to do that. Does the President agree, and how will ensure that Israel will allow this?
Of course. I've said this before. It's nothing new. That if a citizen of Gaza finds themselves outside of Gaza and they want to go back to their home, yeah, we absolutely support that, and we'll work with partners in the region to make it happen.
And on still on Gaza, this week Israel released intelligence showing Hamas taking fuel from the Indonesian hospital in Gaza. It appears with the knowledge of the hospital's director. Is this something that you can confirm?
Nope.
Islamophobia. Some of the Muslim leaders that I spoke with said that while they appreciate the effort to combat Islamophobia, they thought the timing of the announcement was interesting because this is something that the administration has been working on for months, and some of them feel that this is a political bone thrown at them and does not address their bigger concern, which is U.S. policy to support Israel, where they are frustrated that their perspectives are not being heard. Your message to them?
This is a very genuine effort on behalf of the President and the Vice President and the entire administration to plant a marker about how hate has no business here in the United States, particularly hate that can lead to real threats of violence against the Muslim community, the Arab community, Palestinian community. We take that seriously. The thinking that went into leading up to this strategy is long-standing and predates the events of October 7th. But again, I don't know who all these folks are necessarily, but we value their opinion. We value their perspective. And even especially if it's a contrary perspective, or they feel it's a contrary perspective, that's valuable to us. We want to, as we embrace the effort to develop this strategy, we're absolutely going to reach out to folks all across the country from all different perspectives, particularly in the Muslim community, to get their views. That'll be important. It'll inform our work.
Well, the complaint that I've heard raised a lot is that every time they want to address U.S. support to Israel, the White House pivots to Islamophobia. Is that an accurate assessment? How would you respond to that?
I'll let them speak to their opinion of our work. I can tell you that this strategy is born from a genuine desire to go after the kind of hate in America that could lead to real threats of violence against real people, our fellow citizens who are of the Muslim faith or in the Arab community and Palestinian community. I mean, that comes from a genuine, instinctual place for the president and for the vice president. I mean, he has said time after time after time that kind of hate has no place.
John, I just want to go back to what you said about your conversations with the Israelis and trying to encourage them to minimize civilian casualties. You said that you're trying to impart some of the lessons that the U.S. has learned. Can you elaborate? And to what extent would the U.S. be able to help Israel in pinpointing its targeting precisely to avoid the casualties, for instance, of 195 that were killed at Jabalia? I mean, what do you have to offer? What can you offer? How can you help Israel minimize casualties?
I mean, look, we have a lot of experience in what's called urban warfare. In Iraq, Afghanistan, I mean, think about Mosul, think about Fallujah, places like that. And one of the reasons why we dispatched a few senior officers to Israel not long ago was to share some lessons learned about how you conduct operations against a terrorist network inside an urban environment such that you are minimizing damage to civilian infrastructure and absolutely minimizing loss of life to innocent people. And there are things you can do on the ground that you can't do from the air, particularly if you have good intelligence. And so I think those were the kind of conversations that we were having with our Israeli counterparts. And on your second question, I mean, there's no plan or intention for the United States to get involved in the targeting process. These are Israeli military operations, and the Israeli Defense Force, they're leaders. They're making these decisions. They're executing these operations. What we are doing is making sure that we are giving them the tools, including perspective and advice, but also weapons, to be able to conduct these operations in the most efficient way possible and in a way that, again, minimizes civilian harm.
Can I just follow up? If the U.S. is providing weapons that are intended to minimize harm, but then we see large civilian casualties in places like Jabalia, does the U.S. bear some responsibility by providing the weapon?
We are not making the targeting decisions. The Israeli Defense Force are making the decisions. We are giving them the tools and capabilities they need to defend themselves against what I just read as a pretty dire, chilling threat. I mean, these guys want to wipe them off the map. They don't believe they even have a right to exist. They have every right. In fact, they have a responsibility that are people to go after these folks, and we're trying to give them the tools and capabilities to do that. But in addition to it is our perspective, our lessons learned, our advice about how to do it in a way that minimizes civilian harm.
Are you going to increase the number of officers that are providing this advice? And then I have a real quick question on Chile.
I know of no other decision to send more officers over there. The ones that went over are now back. They're not still there. But obviously we have terrific communications with our Israeli counterparts.
Okay. And then on Chile, the president of Chile will be meeting later with the president or shortly. Chile has recalled its ambassador from Israel. You know, obviously there are countries in Latin America that have also recalled their envoys and have broken ties. Bolivia has actually broken ties with Israel. You know, do you see this being a big topic today? And what will the president say?
Drive me nuts. I am ready to move forward.
Well, I'm not going to get ahead of a conversation that hadn't happened yet, but obviously...
Speedy Girl Peter scrolling on TikTok, most likely.
The right to handle their bilateral diplomatic relations in the way they see fit. We're not going to lecture to people about how they handle that. I don't know, to your other question, I don't personally know of other nations that have recalled their Israeli ambassador, but obviously that's for them to decide. What we've decided to do is what I've just told you about our goals and our support for Israel, and we can speak to that.
This might be repeating something, but I just want to be fully clear that, so when the president said last night that he convinced Prime Minister Netanyahu to do a ceasefire, he was referring to the 2 Americans that got out. But Israel has never acknowledged that they paused. So can you give us a better understanding of what exactly was paused, and if the understanding is that for every sort of hostage release there would be a pause?
I'm not going to go into more detail than what we've already put out there publicly. We were able to help negotiate the release of those 2 Americans, and that's a good thing. And in order to be able to get folks out, you got to make sure they can do it safely. And that's what the president was referring to.
Admiral, switching gears from Gaza to Israel's northern border, tomorrow Hezbollah's leader is expected to make his first public comments since the war broke out, and the group has said that it mounted 19 simultaneous strikes on Israeli forces just today using guided missiles and other weapons. So what does the White House expect to hear from Hezbollah's leader tomorrow? And if the goal of the administration was to prevent a wider war, isn't that starting to happen with so many engagements with Israeli forces already?
Well, we'll wait to see what he says. I mean, I don't think he's calling in asking for our talking points, so we'll see what he has to say. Our message to him and anybody else is, if they're thinking about widening and escalating deep in this conflict, you shouldn't do it. We've got significant national security interests at play here. We've proven in the past we'll protect and defend them. We'll do it again in the future.
But how concerning is it that there have been consistent engagement with Israeli forces?
Obviously, we're concerned about continued attacks on Israeli forces there in the north, as are the Israelis. But I don't believe we've seen any indication yet specifically that Hezbollah is ready to go in full force. So we'll see what he has to say.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Mr. Kirby, as you know, Afghan refugee in Pakistan, there's a lot of problem. Pakistan pushed them and police, make a bad deal with them to force them to leave Pakistan, although they don't have any opportunity in Afghanistan. Any comment, there is any possibility to United States bring them to Pakistan, some pressure to give them more chance?
We let Pakistan speak to their policies with respect to refugees and asylum seekers. Obviously, we want to see all nations do what they can to help refugees and asylum seekers, and that certainly includes our Pakistani friends with respect to Afghans who are trying to flee.
Thanks a lot, Kareem. John, over the past 3 weeks, you've expressed from the podium your opposition to a ceasefire. Now you're advocating for a humanitarian pause. That's the way you described it. What's the difference between the two, and is it a two-way street? Is a humanitarian pause one in which there would be essentially no fighting from the Hamas side at the same time that there's no fighting from the Israeli side?
So a couple of things here. First, you said now we're advocating. This is something we've been talking about now for several days. In fact, Secretary Blinken brought it up at the UN, believe late last week. I mean, this is not some new idea that we're just introducing into the intellectual pool here today. And I'll repeat it again. When we talk about a general ceasefire, we're talking about a stoppage of fighting all across the front, if you will, all across the battle space, where neither side, everybody lays down their arms, and it's a general ceasefire. Usually, when you're talking about a general ceasefire, it is about trying to find a cessation to the hostilities, to try to get to a truce, right, or to some sort of end of the war. That's what we mean by a general ceasefire. And we aren't advocating for a general ceasefire at this point. As I said earlier, we believe that a general ceasefire would benefit Hamas in providing them breathing space and time to continue to plot and execute attacks on the Israeli people. A humanitarian pause, when we talk about that, it is temporary, localized, and focused on a particular objective or objectives. Humanitarian aid in, people out. And in a pause, again, each one would have to be negotiated separately and distinctly. But the general idea is that in that geographic space, for that limited time, there would be a cessation of hostilities enough to allow whatever it is you're trying to allow. Does that make sense? Does that lay it out?
It does. You've spent most of your professional life in the military. I don't know the answer to this question. Was there a time in the U.S. fight against al-Qaeda in which the U.S. implemented humanitarian pauses?
I'm not aware of any, but I would remind you that al-Qaeda, wasn't in possession of 200 hostages.
God, I wish he'd shut the hell up and go away. I'm just over here like daydreaming. I forget I'm even on the live. I'm probably making stupid faces. I'm like working in the background, editing stuff on the website. Just go away, Captain Hot Dog Fingers. I'm tired of your shit.
Do you have any response to that? I know you have said that would benefit Hamas. Is there an analysis about how long this process could go before it no longer benefits Hamas to have a ceasefire? And how are you doing that analysis, especially as additional lawmakers call for ceasefire?
Well, there's no change to our view right now that a ceasefire is not.
You ever been in church and have your phone ring? And the guy standing there talking is like, that better be Jesus calling.
Secondly, about the communications blackout in Gaza. You spoke about this a few days ago. You said that the U.S. played a role in getting that reversed.
Yeah.
There was another report about a blackout yesterday. Is it the U.S. position that communications blackouts, cutting off internet, cutting off phone access, is against U.S. policy for Gaza at this point?
There are times in military operations where you want to limit your enemy's ability to communicate. We've seen that in the war in Ukraine, both Russia and Ukraine trying to limit each other's ability to communicate, and sometimes that means in the execution of that task that you're also shutting down sectors of the public communication vehicles. So, I can't sit here and tell you that in warfare, either side might see benefit in doing that and a legitimate need to do that, to shut down an enemy's ability to communicate amongst itself, move its forces around, make decisions, execute command and control. But in this particular case, we felt that such a blackout was specifically hampering the ability to get humanitarian assistance and hampering the ability of humanitarian agencies to communicate with their people on the ground to try to solve a level of desperation that we just haven't seen in a very, very long time. And so we did not believe that it should continue, and we did have a hand in helping get it stopped.
Michael, and then we got to wrap it up, guys.
Thank you. John, on the subject of hostages, Hamas says that at least 7 were killed in these Israel strikes on this Jabalia refugee camp, including at least 3 with foreign passports. Does the U.S. think those numbers are accurate? And of those 3, do you know if any of them were Americans?
No, sir. I don't have any information to verify those claims.
Great, Phil.
Thank you. I wanted to ask a quick question about Ukraine and then a follow-up to something you said previously. In an interview with The Economist, Ukraine's top commander acknowledged that his forces are locked in what he called a stalemate, and he went on to say that there's no chance that a significant breakthrough in the front there is imminent. Obviously, the president continues to say that the United States will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes, but is there, in the months and years ahead, is there going to be a updated strategy required, perhaps more advanced weapons, or perhaps more of an appetite for negotiations?
Well, certainly we'll let Ukrainian leaders speak to their progress or lack thereof. That's really for them to talk about. I think it underscores how important it is that we continue to support Ukraine. I can't stand here today and tell you that it's going to lead to this particular weapon system or this new capability. We are evolving and have evolved what we provided Ukraine as the war itself has evolved, and I suspect that process will continue. It would be eminently easier for us to do that if Congress would pass the supplemental funding that supports Ukraine, because it's not only about capabilities for Ukraine, there's a big chunk of that goes to replenishment ability for U.S. For our own inventory.
And then you said moments ago that the president would veto an Israel-only bill, but you also noted that each of those 4 categories, I believe they were Ukraine, Indo-Pacific, the border, and Israel, they were all critical, and that's the point of supplemental, that you do it as the need occurs. So can you kind of take us into the president's mindset here? Why not triage this, and as you have opportunities to meet those critical needs, why not take them as they come rather than wait and try and deal with them all at once?
I think in our statement of administration policy, we laid out very clearly why we wouldn't want to do that and why we think that all of the things we've asked for in the supplemental are important. And let's go back on the Israel-only thing. The way the House Republicans have carved this out is no humanitarian assistance. It only goes to security assistance for Israel, and that's got to be a non-starter. I mean, that's nothing more than partisan politics right there. I mean, here we are. I've been taking I don't know how many questions about civilian casualties and the desperation of the people in Gaza. I mean, it's incorrigible that anybody would think that we wouldn't need some additional funding to help get food, water, and medicine to these people. They didn't cause this. They didn't ask for that. Hamas doesn't represent them. They're victims too, and they need that support.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, Crane. I've made a mess of your whole. Let me just clean up here. I think I've got all my.
Just go away. We don't care how you do it. Just go away. We don't want to look at you anymore, you bastard. Get out of here.
Prostitute. I do want to touch on something that the Admiral was asked about, and just want to add to what he said as it relates to our strategy when it comes to making sure that no hate of any kind is allowed any light of day in this country, right? And that's including Islamophobia, certainly anti-Semitism, and one of the things that the Admiral was saying that I just wanted to add to is in December, as you all know, in December of last year, the President established an interagency task force to address anti-Semitism, to address Islamophobia and related forms of hate. And the first order of business when we did that a year ago was to release a strategy on combating anti-Semitism. And I know all of you reported, so many of you reported on this. There was 100 actions that agencies were able to take to counter the scourge of anti-Semitism. And then the next step was developing to counter Islamophobia. And so that's what you're seeing, and that's what this is the President's commitment. He ran on this, as you all know, to restore the soul of this nation, to make sure that no hate sees the light of day, to continue to fight against that type of hatred, and that includes all types of hatred. That includes Islamophobia. That includes anti-Semitism. And this is an administration that's taken action not just the last couple of weeks or the last couple of months, but started this process back in December of last year. So I just wanted to make that super, super clear. And that's what we've been, that's been our approach here, the President's approach and this administration's approach again.
On Tubeville, does the White House believe that the Reed Cinema resolution is a way out of the blockade?
I mean, look, and we have said this, we're certainly not going to speak to the procedure of how the Senate operates. That is not for us to do, but we will continue to be crystal clear and very, very loud about what Tuberville is doing. It's just shameful. It is dangerous. It is shameful. I think the Admiral did a great job laying out how that's affecting some of our key critical service members. And we're talking about 380 service or positions that are at risk, or that no one knows where they're going to go, right? No one knows what's happening. And we're talking about families too. That affects their families. And so this is not a way to keep our country safe. This is not a way to move forward with our national security. And it is shameful and it's dangerous. And we are very, very proud to see Republican senators speak up. As I did at the top, I laid out just direct quotes from them and how this is not how, especially in this time, what we're seeing around the world. This is not how we should move forward.
And then on the mayors, I guess there were a couple of mayors who came to the White House today to meet with officials on their problems with managing migrants. I just wondered if you can say anything about how the meeting went and what they talked about.
So a couple of things. They met with the White House Chief of Staff, Jeff Zients. They also met with Senior Advisor Tom Perez and other White House and DHS as well officials. DHS officials, obviously, who representatives from Chicago and Denver to discuss the joint effort to manage what they're dealing with migrants arriving in their city. And so this is something that we took very, very seriously. We talked about, part of the conversation certainly was about the importance of the presidential supplemental funding request, which also includes support for communities and to continue our work to accelerate the process of work permits, as you've heard us speak from here many times, for eligible migrants. And so we're going to continue that partnership. We're going to continue to have those conversations. It was a constructive conversation, and this is not the first. There have been many others. And so, look, we understand what they're going through. We understand what's going on the ground, and this is why we say, that if Republicans truly care about border security, this is something, as we talked about the national security supplemental, we know that's included, then they can act. Continue.
Thank you. You just mentioned that representatives from Chicago and Denver were here. There was reporting that Mayor Adams from New York was on his way and then turned around. Do you have any more information about that? And also, did any other representative from New York join that meeting?
So I believe a staff from the mayor's office was in the room for this meeting. I cannot speak for the mayor's schedule. That is something that I would have to refer you to his office. But you saw the reports. I just can't speak to. Obviously, I can't speak to his schedule and why he could not attend.
And completely different. A government shutdown is about 2 weeks away. If something doesn't happen. What are your expectations there? The speaker today was talking about...
Sounds good. 2 weeks, we'll put that right on the schedule.
What is the White House position on that concept?
I mean, look, we've been clear when we were here the last time, close to a government shutdown that thankfully was avoided.
Blink, 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 blink.
They have 2 weeks. Congress has 2 weeks to do their jobs. As you just stated, they have 2 weeks to honor their word to avoid a shutdown. That's what they have to do. And the president said this when he signed the last continuing resolution. He said there's no excuse for another crisis. There really isn't. That's our message to them. There is no excuse for another crisis. They have to do their job, and they have to honor and avoid a shutdown.
Would the president sign a continuing resolution that has this laddered structure so that different agencies would have different expiration dates?
So look, what I will say is that they have to do their jobs. They have to make sure that they avoid a government shutdown, not going to get ahead of whatever process they're going to move forward with. The president wants to see them avoid a government shutdown. And so we'll see. We'll see what they do. Let's see if they're able to do their jobs.
Was the White House concerned to see Senator Menendez attend a classified briefing on Ukraine yesterday, given that he's been accused of aiding a foreign government?
So look, and I've said this before, this is very serious. The investigations, we take them very seriously. I don't have anything to say about, to comment about.
You take it very seriously. Let me be clear. Don't have anything to say specifics about it. Okay. That's like the whole damn press briefing.
To that from here, but obviously we take this very seriously.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on the Islamophobia question. With this initiative,
What about the MAGA-phobia? What about that?
regulations that are in place across the U.S.
You guys are American phobic.
targeted at Muslims and not just in the federal level, but also at the state and local level, do you see some scope for those measures to be rescinded, and in what kind of time frame is that even possible?
So, look, we're definitely going to, one thing I can say is we're going to continue to have conversations with community leaders, advocates, and members of Congress and others as we, move forward with the strategy. This is something that this entire administration takes very seriously, and make sure that every American has the freedom to live their lives. Certainly we can get you more specifics on what this is the strategy is going to look like, the breakdowns and the agencies that are going to be involved, and I can't speak to specifics of investigations or penalties of that nature. But this is the beginning of it, and certainly this is something. Like I said, the first step of order of business was back in May when we released a strategy on combating anti-Semitism, and this is the next steps. And certainly we will have more to share as the days go by.
And on Maine, if I may, you said that this is, these visits are difficult for the president. Are you planning to, after this latest shooting, is there any action that you're planning in terms of maybe bringing people together again, local officials? We've set the incident, the tragedy in Maine did cause Representative Golden to change his view on an assault weapons ban. Are you seeing any other lawmakers come forward that might have changed their view? And will there be any kind of a summit or gathering?
There's a lot that you're asking in that question there, Andrea, and all very good questions. Look, one of the things that was so important for the office to be created, the Office in Preventing Gun Violence, obviously one of the I guess pillars to that office is making sure that all of the executive orders that the president put forward is accelerated, right? That we move really much faster on getting what the president signed out there to states and obviously to Americans who are suffering and just communities out there who are suffering, but also to make sure that the law that was the bipartisan law also gets moved out very quickly. But one of the things that we've been providing, and these are the things that we'll continue to provide to communities, is as I mentioned, Greg Jackson is on the ground. He's working with FBI and DOJ to coordinate with victim services, deploying experts from the newly created Mass Shooting Victimization Resource Center. That's something that we're doing. We're coordinating with the Department of Education and HUD to support school reopening strategy, because that was obviously really important as the schools had to shut down, and emergency housing as needed throughout the region. So there are a lot of steps that we're doing that is part of this office that's going to help the community on the ground. As it relates to Congress, look, we've been very clear. The president has done taken more than 2 dozen executive actions to deal with gun violence. We believe there is more. This cannot be what we're seeing in Maine and other places, cannot be the norm, right? And so we've been very clear that more needs to be done. We've been very clear on that, and we've asked Congress to take legislative action in order to truly deal. If they want to save lives, that's what they need to do. They need to pass an assault weapons ban, enact universal background checks, require safe storage of guns, and immunity from liability for gun manufacturers, and across the country we must strengthen the red flag laws, and that is something that we see the Department of Justice taking.
Holy hell, how long can they just talk about the same meaningless crap? It's got to be like a world record, just talking about crap nobody gives a shit about. We might not do this anymore. We might not do the press briefing until they kill each other in the Middle East, because this is just so stupid. Like, this is really just a waste of time.
The governor
maybe to the non-Andreas in the room, I'm just asking.
Go ahead. The governor has
Answer the question for the guy who just blurted out in front of everybody. We like that. That's real.
Provide any assistance in that? Are you troubled by the reports that we've heard that so many clues were missed? And there was a call this morning about $334 million going into community policing and things like mental health of police forces and things like that. Is there any funding that you're thinking about making available to help local law enforcement do better in terms of identifying potential shooters?
So the commission to probe that the governor announced, we believe, of course, that the community needs answers. And so this is going to be something, obviously, that we support. And the president has told the governor, since the strategy unfolded, that Maine has its full backing from the entire federal family, and will provide resources. And obviously, the Department of Justice, the FBI is on hand to assist in any way. And don't want to, they're still investigating, as you just mentioned. We're hearing things, but obviously law enforcement is still investigating. Don't want to get
Matthew, I don't know what that guy said, but anytime somebody blurts out in the press room and then doesn't get a response from KJP, it's usually worth receiving an answer, and she's not willing to. So I don't know what he asked for, but I'd like to hear that interaction continue on.
But they say that $1.4 billion isn't enough to help them deal with the influx of migrants. They're asking for $5 billion. Would the administration consider boosting that amount, and what was the response from those senior officials in that meeting to the request for $5 billion?
So look, we have been in constant conversation and communication, obviously, with these city mayors and others.
Is that all we gotta do? We just put in a request for $1 billion hairs, and then they discuss if we're gonna get it or not? Because, on behalf of the hooligans, I'll just put out a request and, just send Americans $1 billion hairs, and then we'll be golden, right? We'll just fix the wall and everything on our own. If that's all it takes, we'll just write a letter. I mean, I'm white. I can do that, right? Just write a letter and somebody will read it. That's what I'm told.
It's emergency, as you know, emergency funding.
Hooligans need their own Karen. We need somebody to write a letter to the manager.
security. It's important for what we're trying to do with these communities. I can't speak to the $5 billion. I'm not sure what else they're asking on top of the $1.4 billion, so can't speak to that. I can only speak to what we have requested in the supplemental funding to Congress, and that's what we believe is urgent, is needed. And we have said, we've been very clear, if House Republicans are serious in dealing with this border security, this is something that they should move forward with easily. But what we've
Jeb, they need violins in the background. They need a team of women in the background sobbing, playing the violin. That's what they need. And then they'll just have signs on their shirts or something. It'll say "crying for victims," and it'll have like long lists of names. Holy shit, don't trip on your way out, KJP. She had a skedaddle. Driving me nuts today. Hated that press briefing. Hated it. That was terrible. I'm so glad we're done with that. Holy, I'm about ready to take a nap. I forgot when the live started. I still got to call and figure out what's going on with my car and everything else. I should have took a nap. That was bullshit, covering that nonsense. We might have to wait for the Middle East to turn into glass before we cover more press briefings, because that's a shit show. What a waste of time. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and recover this video we got halfway through. It's titled, Trump Lawyers See Absolute Coordination After Don Jr.'s Testimony Day. He was indicted to testify against President Trump, his dad. And as far as I could tell, he went up there and said a whole bunch of nothing. Now we're going to have problems. Sorry, just give me a second.
Here now to address the double...
No, do the thing. All right, good to go. All right, let's get started, hooligans. Holy crap, I need another one. I almost need beer after that. My God. All right, let's get her going.
Here now to address the double standard of justice happening in today's America is attorney and spokeswoman for President Trump, Alina Habba. Alina, you were in court today. Tell us how it all went down. Don Jr. was there, I believe, testifying as well. Tell us.
Yeah, we had a very strong day today. There you go. That's us. Don was clear, concise, made it very clear that he relied on professionals, and I think the testimony speaks for itself, frankly. They did nothing wrong. We know this, Eric. This is not a witch hunt that has any meat to it. Most of them are completely nonsensical, as we know, but it was an event for Miss Letitia James to show up and have her press moment, and that's why, this is all happening. Let's just not get it twisted. It's political.
And I just talked to Rudy Giuliani about it. No one was hurt. There's no, it's a victimless, quote unquote, crime. I can't believe they're wasting so much of people's time and money. And frankly, I guess it was a political witch hunt trying to get Trump off the incredible run he was having, and it only fortified it.
That's right. Well, not only was nobody hurt, people made money. The banks made money. The banks are sophisticated lenders. This is Deutsche Bank we're talking about. This is Ladder Capital. These are not people that are mom and pops that don't understand.
Wait, they're not plaintiffs. None of them are plaintiffs. Was that right?
They're not plaintiffs because they've never brought anything, because there was never a default. They made money. They were paid on time. They made judgment calls. The Trump organization, the Trump family, as everybody knows, is incredibly wealthy, are succeeding and thriving despite the attacks that they come at with them. And the truth of the matter is, this is too tight. President Trump up, and now his family, which is a whole new low, so that they cannot campaign and be doing what they need to do. Unfortunately, it's not working for them. If you look at the poll numbers, he's doing amazing. And frankly, they're just giving him a platform. Does it mean it's right? No, but they're miscalculating their steps. And as much as PR as Ms. James, for instance, in this case has, she really needs to educate herself on how to do this properly. I think that's why she failed as her run for governor.
Now, Control, do you have that soundbite of Trump calling this election interference?
I'd rather be in New Hampshire or South Carolina or Ohio or a lot of other places, but I'm stuck here because I have a corrupt attorney general that communicates with the DOJ in Washington to keep me nice and busy because I'm leading Biden in the polls by a lot. That's all this is. This is election interference.
So you've heard him there, maybe alluding to the fact that the Attorney General is, kind of trickling down to the federal investigations or trials, but also maybe the civil ones as well. Do you think this is a coordinated effort by the left to derail the Trump campaign?
Well, I would invite anybody who's interested to read the cross-examination of Michael Cohen, where I specifically asked and elicited a response that said this. He was working with the DA, and while interviewing with the DA, the Attorney General's office was sitting there with him. Period. That says it all. This is absolutely coordinated. We know this is coordinated. There is no reason that all of these trials, all of these cases have all of a sudden come from things that some of them date back to when he was president, but they're all hitting him in the year that he needs to be on the campaign trail, and all of them are on rushed trial dates. It is absolutely coordinated, and I think it goes all the way from the top down to the attorneys, the prosecutors, the AGs, the DAs, and there needs to be a complete clean out of all of this corruption and politicization of anything in our justice system. It is so inappropriate.
I know a guy who could probably clean that whole mess up. I know a guy. He happens to be your client right there. Alina Habba, a great attorney for the president, also a great spokesperson for him as well. Alina, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Joining me now to...
Well, it sounds like it went like I expected. Don Jr. got up there and said, well, I don't know. I left it to the professionals. We hire people to do things like that. I wasn't sitting there monitoring everything. We pay people to do that stuff. I don't know anything. I don't know nothing. You indicted me for no reason. And that's what I was saying yesterday, is that I think that's the best route. I mean, I can't give legal advice. I'm not legally able to. But I think that's the best route. You can either remain silent or you could just not know a whole lot of stuff. And there's no way for them to do anything to you because of that. And so, I mean, if you get a plea deal for immunity and stuff, then usually you agree to testify and all this, that, and the other. I don't think that's this situation. But even if it was, they can't make you know things. So if you get up there and you just say, I don't know to everything, well, it just makes the court look foolish because they wasted everybody's time and money to get you there, and you don't even hold any actual evidence that's useful in court. And it sounds like that's what he did. Like I mentioned earlier, I think tomorrow another one of Trump's sons is supposed to testify. I don't know all their names and all that. I know Don Jr. went today. The other one's supposed to go tomorrow, and I think the daughter is supposed to be next Friday, I think is how that's supposed to go. But be ready for the propaganda. You know, CNN and all them, they're going to have headlines that say Trump's kids. What is going on here? Trump's kids testified against him because he's such a big bad meanie and all that stuff. So, you know, the propaganda is probably cranking them out right now. I didn't look too hard for it in the beginning of the live today, but I bet by now there's probably thousands of videos out there claiming the other way around, that Trump's kids showed up and threw him under the bus and blah, blah, and you know how the propaganda goes. So expect that to be out there, and then tomorrow there'll be even more. Well, we're going to read through the chat really quick, then we're going to move on to these next videos. We have 4 more videos, and the next one is about Old Man Walter and his new Green Deal or Green New Deal. It's green because it's baby shit. It's nothing good. Let's see. Cassandra, wow, I wonder how Trump has not had a nervous breakdown. If it were me, I think would have had one long time ago. Yeah, I'd be disgruntled. I mean, he is a little disgruntled. You can see him when he's speaking at those recesses of the trial he's participating in against his will. He does seem disgruntled, and rightfully so. I'd absolutely be pissed off. I mean, you'd know. You'd know. I would come up here and have so many subliminal messages on top of my gag order, but everybody would know. You'd be able to tell. Just look at my eyebrows. You'd be able to tell exactly how I feel. I don't know about a mental breakdown, but I know Klaus Daniels wouldn't be having a good time. Dad's marching around the living room again, pacing the house. Yeah, I don't like worrying about stuff, and I don't like stressing. Trump's got money, though. He's got enough money to where he could probably be all right. Even if they try to put him in prison, it would still be like probably better than any hotel that we could afford. I think he'd be all right, even if he was in prison, because we're still going to write his name on the ballot. It doesn't matter. He can run the country from the prison cell. It'd be fine. It'll be fine. I think we're all okay with that, however this goes. But yeah, if it were me, I'd be stressing too. Big time. You think it's a part of the gag order if he came out with t-shirts that said what he thought. I wonder. I don't know. He's the kind of person to like push the envelope. I kind of want to send him an email and be like, hey, you thought about releasing some shirts? You could probably do that without breaking the gag order. Matt, Eric Trump is tomorrow. Thank you for letting me know. So tomorrow we'll probably have that on the schedule too, depending on what time he takes the stand and all of that. Murphy's Law. Yeah, I think it's so. Can't read that out loud, but I'm thinking so. Go say I'd be in jail if I was Trump. I don't know how he does it. Yeah, I would probably be in jail too. Murphy's Law, they're trying to wear Trump down as well as taking money away. Those lawyers cost a whole lot. Yeah. But a lot of people send money to Trump and stuff. They, send support and stuff like that. So, that's why the trolls show up and they're like, you guys are just supporting his attorney fees. Well, yeah, we want him to run the country outside of the prison, if possible. Like, trolls show up and they say the dumbest shit. Those liberals, they just, the soft and stupid people show up and they say dumb stuff. You're just like, yeah. And they're like, but, and they're all twisted inside. So stupid. The trolls have been really lame lately. They just don't have any ammo. Thank you so much, Cassandra, for donating an ice cream over on D Live. I appreciate you, Cassandra. Thank you. Let's see. Cash flow. A lot of people are backing down from Biden's green agenda. Yep. We're going to cover that next. I think it's a Jesse Waters video. There's like 3 or 4 windmill programs that were supposed to start that are all getting canned now because they don't believe that it's worth the money. They did something like that in Ludington. Wisconsin wanted to put wind turbines in Lake Michigan, and if you sat on the beach in Ludington, you'd be staring at wind turbines, and people didn't want that. So they put it out in the countryside. So if you're traveling like from Pentwater to Ludington or whatever, you're heading north and on West Michigan 31, you just see wind turbines all in the distance and stuff. But I believe all that electricity actually goes to Wisconsin. It doesn't even supply anything here in Michigan. But it sounded like they were trying to do more, what do they call them, wind turbine farms or something like that. But there was 3 or 4 programs that were going to do that, and they're all canceled now because it's not worth the cost. Let's see. What's up, Sheriff? Happy Freedom. Just reading through. Baseball guy, yeah, we're not voting Trump for prison guard, dumb liberals. Yeah. Yeah. Grackle. No, I haven't seen that. I'm not surprised that we're still funding the lab in China. Like, that doesn't surprise me at all. They found a lab in California that had science experiment stuff with the plague. And they don't talk about that anymore. They found that facility and they were like, "Hey, did you guys see this?" And everybody's like, "No, that's misinformation. We got to take that stuff down." And now nobody talks about it. Yeah, they're brewing it up right here at home. Let's see. Thanks so much, Mr. Beansy Beans, for gifting a sub over on Twitch. I appreciate you, Mr. Beansy Beans. And I will respond to you. I got your message on Gilded. I got overwhelmed yesterday. I got like 40 messages from all different people, and I was already busy doing stuff, and I was trying to figure out what's going on with my car and all this crap, and I got overwhelmed, and I didn't write anybody back. And so I'm sorry. I will write you guys back today, everybody that wrote me and all that. Hermit, Callie's fucked. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It's just the way it's all running over there. You get somebody swift, get them in charge, and maybe crack down on all those homeless crackheads. That'd be a good start for California. Could you imagine if we turned California around? That's how you beat that's how you beat the soft and stupid people. You take over California, then you take over New York, Oregon, and Washington will just straighten themselves out, and pretty soon the only place where we have soft and stupid people will be DC, where you can't have guns but people still get shot, and then they pass more gun laws. Yep. Let's see. Just reading through. Grateful Dead, Strange Brew. Yeah, it's true. Working on the next plague. You guys hear them mowing the grass outside? They'll be doing that till 8 o'clock tonight. I don't know why. Must be something fun about smoking meth and riding a lawnmower. 'Cause I swear that's what that lady does. I ain't never seen nobody mow a yard, the average size of a front yard, for 8 hours. Like, just back and forth. Nothing. Just for no reason. Drives me nuts. Hey, I appreciate you, Joseph. Thank you for being here. Snooks. Who is it? Coffee? Coffee's the troll? I was wondering. Well, you guys let me know when you're done with the troll over on Twitch. And if you other hooligans are hungry, there's a troll on Twitch. You want to go gangbang him real quick, that's fine. You just let me know when you're done with him. I'll help him carry himself out the room. We can wipe him off. Get some hooligan hankies out. It'll be good. It'll be good stuff. Cassandra, yes. Make California red again. Bring back the Reagan years. Did California used to be red? Because I'm telling you, I think that's the way to turn things around. You make California red, and you fix the homeless drug addicts out there. I don't know. I think things could really turn around if we did that. Because they got a soft and stupid stronghold out there in California. I don't like just calling everybody liberals and Democrats. We talk about this all the time. There's good and bad people no matter who the hell you vote for or how you identify yourself, the labels you put on your identity. The reality is the soft and stupid people are the ones bringing us down, regardless of where they work, who they vote for, what their gender title is. The soft and stupid people are wrecking us. And there's a lot of them in California because they got laws that protect them. It's unfortunate, but I think if we turn California around, I think things would really be moving forward. All right, we're going to move on to this next one. It's titled Biden's Green New Deal is Falling Apart. This one and the next one, I believe, is a Jesse Waters video. I like covering Jesse Waters. He's not as good as Tucker, but I do like that it's kind of humorous. I keep seeing clips of Tucker Carlson and Theo Vaughn doing some sort of collaboration together, and I haven't figured out where the full video is, but when I find it, I'm gonna share it everywhere because I love Theo Vaughn. Like, I mean, he might be like a drug addict or something weird, what comedian isn't, but Theo Vaughn says so much honest, like genuine stuff, and I love hearing it. Like one time he said something along the lines of, like, being lonely isn't because you don't have people in your life. It's because people don't have you. You don't have anyone to call or text and say, hey, I'm okay. I'm still here and I'm doing okay. That's what being lonely is. Not having people in your life. Like, you could be surrounded by people and still be lonely. And when he said that it's people not having you, I was like, that's the best definition I've heard of being lonely ever. And he just speaks real genuine. I don't think he does it intentionally necessarily. I think it's more like putting words to a feeling, which is kind of how I speak. And so I really like Theo Vaughn. I think that he's pretty cool. And seeing him and Tucker Carlson go back and forth and discuss things, all the little clips I'm seeing seems really awesome. So if I find the whole video, I'm going to be sharing it everywhere. I don't think we can cover it on the live unless we cut YouTube out of the chain, but I think it'd be worth watching, so just keep that in mind. Anyways, once again, this video is titled, Biden's New Green Deal is Falling Apart.
Primetime has just scored another big victory. The whales have received a stay of execution, along with my beach views. We've been telling you for months how Biden's offshore wind projects are destroying the Jersey Shore, but just yesterday, the Danish windmill company pulled the plug on 2 massive projects off the Jersey coast. The company's admitting Bidenomics doesn't work. Despite billions in giveaways, the windmills still won't work. They won't make money because of high rates, inflation, and China. But that's not all. Offshore wind farms in Massachusetts were just canceled. Offshore wind in Connecticut is collapsing, and offshore wind projects in New York are about to get canceled. The whole Green New Deal's falling apart right before our very eyes. Biden's favorite electric bus company, Proterra, just filed for bankruptcy. It's what happens when your buses catch on fire. General Motors and Honda just killed their low-price electric car joint venture. Ford just stopped work on their new Michigan electric battery plant. The company's losing $36,000 per EV, per. Biden's handing out $7,000 coupons to buy electric cars, and no one's buying them. This is what happens when companies make cars for politicians instead of companies making cars for customers. No one even thought to ask the customers if they wanted an electric car. The smart money is in oil. That's right. ExxonMobil and Hess have discovered 11 billion barrels of oil off the coast of South America with a B. It's the biggest discovery in a decade. It appears as if we're going to run out of minerals for batteries before we run out of oil for cars. Joe Biden tried to run our economy like Joe Stalin. But just like the Soviet Union, the math doesn't add up, and now billions of dollars are gone. And all we have are cars that never made it off the lot and windmills that never made it out of the warehouse. Now, if I know Democrats, and I do, we're about to witness one of the biggest green bailouts in history. Mark Morano is the Climate Depot publisher and author of The Green Fraud. Did you see this coming?
I hate to say I told you so, but absolutely. I mean, I was working in the U.S. Senate Environment Public Works Committee when really the first governor to make a splash with this was Arnold Schwarzenegger in California. He did in 2006 the California Climate Bill, the Global Warming Solutions Act. He was praised as a man saving the planet. It was the ultimate virtue signal. Well, guess what? Many other governors, senators, countries all wanted in on that virtue signal. So for decades, they kept coming up with the net zero, the solar, the wind mandates, the tax credits, the subsidies. And it was small enough that it didn't really affect the energy mix, or we weren't feeling it obviously enough. And all of this happened, the Inflation Reduction Act last year, well, everything collapsing on its own now. You can no longer virtue signal this nonsense. We had world leaders at UN summits. I'll limit the Earth's temperature to 2 degrees. I'll go to 1.5, as though they were playing Price is Right, playing with a giant dial. It's no longer possible, as you just laid out, Jesse. On every metric of Biden's green energy agenda, it is in complete collapse. And this is the key part. Despite massive Inflation Reduction Act, so-called, subsidies, mandates, tax credits, and I'm talking about not just now, but many years in the future. And you're right, we look to Europe to see the future. Germany already bailing out offshore wind. They're already going to double down and start bailing off. A report came out and said we have to spend $75 trillion on this green transition. Easier to transition your gender than energy, the way the Biden administration is going about it. It's just not happening.
Mark, how arrogant do you have to be to think you all of a sudden can just build all brand new cars, all brand new energy, put windmills all up and down the coast, put solar panels all over, and just change the entire world economy like that? How arrogant do you have to be?
As arrogant as every person in history that you study. They always think they're different, they're smarter, and they can do it. And in the case of I was off with the Committee for Constructive Tomorrow. We had a protest out off of Martha's Vineyard about these windmills. We went out to Ørsted directly. We had a 1980s Radio Shack megaphone, and we had an alliance of fishermen, and we had an alliance of even trans rights activists and San Francisco liberals all together. So we asked the question, where are the Volvo driving, save the whale liberals when you need them? Well, they came out, and now you have 50 governors in New Jersey opposing the offshore wind. This is arrogance at its height. You can't manage an energy economy. Before you can save the world, you need to save the people in it. They forgot that simple rule, and they literally came up with their 5, 10, 20-year plans, and they're not backing down. This failure is only proof that they haven't spent enough and mandated enough.
And then they're going to have to bail out all these companies that went bankrupt because none of the math adds up. Yeah. I see it coming. You can see it coming a mile away, but we're stopping them. We're stopping them shore by shore, coastline by coastline.
This is celebration.
It is.
They're collapsing. It's time to celebrate.
Pop the bottles, people. We got it.
Well, old man Walters, Green New Deal is just baby shit. That's all it is. We already knew that. How many times we gotta watch cars catch on fire before we realize that ain't the path? That ain't the way to go. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Because they're kind of forcing those car companies into manufacturing that stuff. And Toyota keeps saying that they got a new battery coming out. And I'm wondering if that's a bunch of malarkey. Because I'm not hearing anybody else talk about it. Toyota made a comment about it, like did a I don't know, like a release, a pressing release, mentioning that they have new technology to make a battery that only takes 10 minutes to fully charge, and it goes twice as far as the batteries they have right now. But I haven't heard anybody else talking about it. Otherwise, people aren't interested in these EVs, from what I can tell. And a lot of people don't like the whole wind turbine thing being in the water because there's a bunch of dead whales all over the place where these turbine farms are, where they're in the ocean. And they think it's related, but they can't figure it out. They think the vibrations of the wind turbines is basically making whales lost. It's affecting their, I don't know, how they navigate, how whales move through the water. So I don't know. But there's a lot of people standing against the wind turbines because of that. So we'll see how it all goes. You guys see that big fat Klaus Daniels? He's big and meaty. He's got his harness on right now. He feels all fancy. I put that harness on him and I don't know. He acts like he's wearing a sports jacket or something. Like he's just missing the sunglasses. He thinks he's the Orange Eagle himself. Out here styling in his turquoise harness. The big gigantic. Let's see. Sam, that's a high quality kitty right there. 6 million years of tiger DNA. I know, he's the hybrid. He is something else. Let's see. Yeah, and he's a happy kitty. He is. And I actually got him to walk on the leash yesterday. Not outside of the house. We haven't ventured that far. But normally when you put a leash on a cat, they just flop over and they're not having it. You got to drag him. But Klaus Daniels, he actually did it. That's how it's always been. But I tried last night. I snuck that leash on him. He went to flop over and I put him back up, stood him on his feet, and then just kind of like started moving forward. And he was just wandering around with me and it was working out. Pretty soon I'll be able to take Klaus for a walk. But then, you know, city ordinance will show up and they'll be like, you need a permit for that fucker. And be like, yeah, I guess. He is big, gigantic, I know. He identifies as a puppy. Don't you worry, officer. Just reading through the chat really quick before we move forward. Let's see. Jeb, it's all about clean energy unless it's in their backyard. Yeah, exactly. And it's not even clean energy. A lot of that stuff that's made, well, and I can't even talk a whole lot about it. I keep forgetting the YouTube's around. I can't say a whole lot about it while YouTube's watching, but yeah, a lot of the products that are made as the future of energy is made in filthy processes. You know, like the charging stations run on diesel and stuff like that. It's just sleight of hand. That's all that's going on. And the production of those EV batteries is terrible. Like, it's terrible for our planet. Let's say it like that. It's not good. Let's see. Miss Jamie, yeah, if I get Klaus Daniels to actually go for a walk, I will absolutely record it. I was mad yesterday that I didn't record it, but I was on the phone. And I can't use my damn camera while I'm talking on the phone. And I was like all excited. I was like, oh, he's doing it. It was like watching your kid walk for the first time. Like, oh, he's doing the thing. I was so excited, but I couldn't record it. But I'll make sure to do it next time. Let's see. Just flipping through really quick. Snooks, Klaus is huge. He is. He is. He's getting all fluffy and stuff because winter's coming. What's up, DeRosa? Happy freedom. Starbird, free the cat. He's free enough. He's free enough. He's fine. Dish lady, I saw a full-size Dodge with a sticker that said I identify as a Prius, and I laughed so hard I almost wrecked. That's awesome. I've seen a couple I won't coexist bumper stickers. You know the coexist ones you always see on really old Subarus, and it's got all the weird symbolism in it. I've seen a lot of like anti-coexist stickers, and that's what happens when you shove too much progressive crap down everyone's throat, is that there's blowback. And the blowback always looks like hate, but the progressive language is so falsely described as unity. Like, the people who actually put those coexist stickers on their bumpers can't handle Trump supporters or anything like that. They don't have a tolerance to actually coexist with people that don't agree with their weird ideologies, like turning their wieners inside out. But then they want to tell everybody they coexist. Just like curing yourself from pregnancy in their eyes is some form of women's health care. And women's health care has nothing to do with death. So, again, it's just manipulation of language. Let's see. A to Z. The windmill blades they only last 3 to 5 years, and then they don't know what to do with them. They're stacking them up by the thousands. Yep. Same thing with the EV batteries. They don't really have a way to properly dispose of them, so they're just ending up in landfills. It's no good. It's no good. Hey Quest, please send me a green bailout. Lots and lots of green. It smells dank. I don't know. Tis what tis. What's up, Marvin? Happy freedom. Appreciate you being here. What's up, Elizabeth? Bubba, Trump donated to Bill Clinton's campaign. Wasn't Bill Clinton getting it done up in the Oval Office? I don't know. See, I wasn't old enough to really know about Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton in my brain is just the guy that did the thing in the Oval Office, and everybody was mad. And I never understood that, and I think it's because at the time he was cheating on Hillary, which now we all celebrate that. But at the time it was like, oh no, we can't have a president who cheats on his wife and stuff, which, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, unless your wife is Hillary, then by all means. But I don't know. I mean, if it was Hillary doing it, then would we have supported him? Because I feel like in modern America, if Trump was in the Oval Office and his wife was doing things and the reporters were like, Trump was getting dome in the Oval Office, I kind of feel like it would be like when he was signing tits. We'd be like, woo! Like America! We'd be getting it. So I don't know. Bill Clinton to me is just that guy. He's just the guy that did the thing in the Oval Office, and that's it. I assume he wasn't a great person, but like I said, I was a kid. I didn't know anything about that kind of stuff. Like Cassandra telling me that Reagan used to run California. I'd never heard that before. Never knew that. I don't even know what Reagan looks like, honestly. I just don't know enough about it. I have 3 years experience in government, so I don't really know anything about that stuff. I'm learning new things every day. Let's see. Matt, my dogs won't let you take their collar off after a walk. They must see it as like part of their uniform or something. Because I'm telling you, I put that little harness on Klaus Daniels, and all of a sudden he thought he was Jet Li. He thought he was Wesley Snipes. He went slithering through the kitchen and stuff like it was a tactical vest. I was like, damn, son, I'm going to have to really get you a real vest. You can be carrying around some AR mags and stuff like that. Give you some purpose. Velcro, strap you to the chest of my vest I got. But I actually looked it up, and they don't really make that kind of stuff. I'm going to have to like manufacture my own magazine carrying Klaus vest for the cat, because apparently they don't make that. All the tactical vests for dogs and cats are just a harness with a handle. I don't need a handle to pick him up. He's almost big enough to pick me up. I need him to be able to carry magazines. That's what I need. We'll figure it out. Let's see. Ghostly, more worried about the island that Bill was flying to. Yeah, exactly. Like that guy we saw get dragged out of Hillary's live rally thing because he was like, how come your husband was on the flight log 26 times flying out to the island? Like, I wonder if that guy's still alive right now. Gonzo, Klaus telling all the neighborhood cats that he's walking as human. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I don't think the other cats would even want to be messing with Klaus. He's like Debo on the block. They're like, what the hell is that? This is a Klaus Daniels. You ain't never seen one of these. I'm telling you, I would not be surprised at all if the officers stopped us. They drive by and just slam on their brakes. They hop out, pistols drawn. Put the lion down. No, no, no. The lion's taking me for a walk, okay? I have no control over this beast. I'm here. I'm just assisting. I have no say. The officer's like, taser, taser. I'm like, no, 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 don't do that. Prison hug. Reagan was old school, no bullshit. That's what we need. We need a straight shooter. Would the troll go away? We didn't even ban him. He was part of today's lunch. And then he just left. Soft. Don't come in here being soft. You ain't gonna make it. Hey, I appreciate you, non-GMO. Thank you for being here. Elizabeth, common sense is lost in the WEF and the government. Yeah. And that's the hard thing, is that they're not stupid. They just pretend to be stupid. And then we always sit back and watch it and we're like, these dummies doing all this nonsense. But it's all time. They're just taking up our time. It's like they're leading us on. They make all these great promises, and we're either waiting for the promises to come through and actually appear in real life, or we're waiting for it to blow back in their face and then watch them be held accountable for their actions. And then neither actually happens. We never get a resolution and no one ever gets held accountable, and they make more promises and we just sit here and listen and wait. And that's all it is. They just lead us on over and over again. It drives me nuts. And at Rambo Klaus, yeah. Cassandra, Reagan started off as a soap opera actor. That's crazy. That's crazy. I never knew that. Well, the potential's there. Maybe we will be in the office on 2028. They'll be like, Jeff Mack used to just run lives covering riots. Now he's in the White House doing press secretary work for the Orange Eagle. Well, let's cover this next video. Let's get this off the screen. This next one's titled, Nancy Pelosi was just subpoenaed. Now, there's not a lot of information on this yet. This video is fairly short. But they do mention that it is for criminal court. But nobody knows why. Nobody knows why she's being summoned. Alright, let's get it.
Fox News alert, something very peculiar just happened on the floor of the House. Take a look.
This is to notify you formally, pursuant to Rule 8 of the Rules of the House of Representatives, that I, the Honorable Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Emerita and U.S. Representative for the 11th Congressional District of California, have been served with third-party subpoenas from the prosecution and the defendant to produce documents in a criminal case in the United States District Court for the Northern District of California.
So Nancy Pelosi is being subpoenaed in a criminal case. What criminal case? That person who isn't Nancy Pelosi wouldn't say. Could it be related to the hammer attack on her husband, Paulie P? Because that trial starts next week. Does it have something to do with her husband's DUI? Or is there something behind door number 3? Maybe a little insider trading. The son's shady business dealings. We don't know. We asked Pelosi's office to explain. They said no comment. But subpoenas aren't nothing, especially in a criminal case. It suggests there's something Nancy does not want to hand over voluntarily. You don't subpoena the willing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to
Well, maybe we'll get to see. I highly doubt she's going to be held accountable for anything she's ever done. But it would be fun for them to bring back Hammer Time Paul Pelosi and have those clips running again. Because that was something. That whole hammer attack. And he was sleeping. He got hit with that hammer and he was out. He was sleeping. He was snoring on the ground. I mean, they could bring that back. They could bring that back. We'll see. We'll see. It would be nice if they would hold her accountable for some insider trading and that kind of stuff. Or even if they interviewed her to ask her why she didn't call the National Guard during January 6th. Because now Trump has been talking about that. And he hasn't talked about that all this time. And now all of a sudden he keeps bringing up how if they really cared so much about what was happening on J6, how come Nancy Pelosi didn't call the National Guard even after everybody else told her to? Trump even mentions like, hey, you know, we told her, hey, call in National Guard. And she was like, nah, not yet. And didn't end up doing it. So maybe they should call her and have her talk about that a little bit, since they care so much about what happened on J6. I mean, you know, half those people are still incarcerated. And when they do finally get sentenced, they're getting sentenced with like misdemeanors and stuff like that. So there's nothing like being charged with a misdemeanor, which usually is maxing out about 90 days in jail, but you've been sitting there 3 years. Like, and then you don't get anything in return. You can't never get those days back on your life. I don't know. The whole being incarcerated thing needs to be reviewed. It needs to be reviewed. This stuff happens all the time. I've been released a day late from jail. That's a day I don't ever get back in my life. And all they do is they go, oops, guess you were supposed to be out yesterday, but we didn't notice it until today. So we're letting you out today. Now, if I would have broke out the day before when I was supposed to be able to be released, well, I would have been committing a crime. So I just get to be kidnapped. I get to go fuck myself. And that's one day less that I get on my lifeline. And nobody cares. And so, like, then you look at the J6ers who are serving years beyond what is justifiable as far as criminal activity, and nobody cares. There should be some sort of payback. Like, the government should have to pay them, release them after they're sentenced, get them sentenced, and then pay them back for the days that they lost. I mean, it's still, no matter what they give them, it'll never be equivalent to another day on your life. But something, there needs to be some sort of like reimbursement for wrongful imprisonment. Let's see, reading through the chat really quick before we move forward. We still got 2 videos left. What time is it? I got a call on my car. I called yesterday. I can't remember if I told you guys this or not. I called yesterday after the live to go get my car, and they said that they didn't get a chance to look at the all-wheel drive light. And so when I called them, they were like, oh yeah, no, we didn't do that. We're going to go do that right now. And I was like, okay. And then I called them at the end of the day because they still didn't call me back. And they said that they don't know what's wrong with it and that they were going to drive it around and see if they can trigger the all-wheel drive codes and then figure it out. And then I'm supposed to call them today after the live and see, did they figure out what's wrong with the all-wheel drive? Is there anything wrong with it, or did they fix it? And what do I do now? I still haven't paid them for everything that's gone on. I think I'm near $2,000 as far as the bills go right now. But I won't know until I talk to him today. Hopefully I get my car back today. Today is day 27 of not having a car. It's been 27 days since I've hit the deer, and I've been living in this house. And it sucks. It sucks a lot. I've only been able to travel so many blocks on foot, and now it's snowing outside and that kind of stuff. I can't wait to have my car back. I'm telling you, I'm just going to be driving and blasting music and screaming cuss words because I just need to get it out. And if I smack another deer, well, it's fine. I have full coverage. You guys can help me pick out a new car. Let's see. Matt, clean the house, working on my daughter's go-kart. She wants it painted like Mario Kart. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. That's an awesome idea. Miss Jamie, nobody ever sentenced to 3 years in jail for misdemeanor. No, misdemeanors generally max out at 90 days. I think there's high misdemeanors where you can do one day less than a year, but it's like really specific criminal acts. Otherwise, you're looking at 90 days per misdemeanor that they give you. And there's nothing saying that you'll actually do the whole 90 days. You get sentenced to weekends. I mean, it just depends on what you did and what kind of judge you get and all that. Let's see. Speedy girl, you really need to take it to a Subaru dealer. It'll be cheaper than you think and they'll know what to do. No. To do bearings on my Subaru is like $1,200 or $1,500 or something, but I can go to the shop and have it done for like $300, maybe $400. Sometimes they don't even charge me labor. And I do advertisement for them, so they usually give me deals. My problem is that they're short-staffed. They had some employees there that were running things while the owner was on recovery from some medical stuff. And while that was happening, they were embezzling money from him. And so when he came back from recovery, he had to fire over half the staff there because they were all in cahoots with embezzling money. And So it's like him and 2 mechanics, and they're running the whole show. And so it's just taking them time. They're busy. They're really busy. They're the best in the area. So everybody goes there and stuff, but they're good people. I can text them. I got his personal number. I can ask him questions. They do a lot of free stuff for me. It's better, but go into a dealership, they just want money out of me. Let's see. Speed Girl. We'll see. We'll see. Miss Jamie, those people are 100% political prisoners. It's shameful. Yeah, absolutely. There's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put it. Those people didn't do anything not bad enough to sit for years like they are. Prison hug class 3 misdemeanors is 90 days. Yeah. I've only committed misdemeanor. I think I've been sentenced to 4. I've been charged with like 15 crimes, but I've only been sentenced to 4 where I was actually guilty of wrongdoing, but they were all misdemeanors. Most of them are assault. That's my biggest one, is assault. I got 3 counts all in the same sentencing. So like right there, I became a violent offender. My first time being incarcerated, I was automatically a violent offender. I hate that because I was 17. Now I'm 34. I get pulled over. I get 2 cops stacked, bulletproof vest, pistol drawn, and held to the side. Sir, you have a tail light out. Just shoot me in the face now, officer. Like, jeez. Tis what it is. Mr. Beans and Beans, the dealership that I bought my Dodge or finance, laugh aloud, they got my money. Yeah. I've been to the Subaru dealership, and it is really nice there. I took a bunch of pictures. I don't know if you hooligans remember. And they had all kinds of stuff. They had Subarus from like the 70s and stuff sitting there on the showroom floor. They were really nice to me. I bought an official Subaru hoodie and all that stuff. But when it comes to getting your car worked on, they want that top dollar. Because all the techs in there are STIs, Subaru Technical Institute trained mechanics and stuff like that. And yeah, they know what's going on with the car, but then they also want to charge me $4,500. And I just can't afford that. I just can't do it. It costs too much money. The job would be done right. And like, you know, like Speed Girl's saying, they would know. They're trained to know, but I don't have money for that kind of stuff. Cassandra, I dislike the dealership too. Those people are just treat you like a peon. They're hustling. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then when I get in there, they always treat me like I'm broke. People treat me the way I look. And so either I look like a cop or I look like a criminal, but I never look in between. It's never like, hi, sir, how's it going? It's always like, what do you want? Or how can I help you? Like really seriously. Are you a cop? I'm not a cop. I just wear American flags and stuff. And they're like, oh, okay. I am armed though. And they're like, all right. No, can't tell people. You can't tell people that stuff. Let's see. Well, we're going to move forward. This next video is titled, New York Times Slammed for Abominable Spinning of Vandalism of Hamas Hostage Posters. I think this whole thing is stupid. I think everything connected to this is stupid. I was going to find the video with the flyers that have the razor blades on them. We were talking about that earlier. But it's too graphic for YouTube. I wouldn't even be able to show it because there's blood. There's blood in the person's hand. I've actually already caught a strike for that kind of stuff. Somebody was like, oh, my arm's bleeding, and there was like a little stripe of blood or whatever, and it was like, boom, took the whole live down. They were like, you're showing graphic content, you bastard. Here's a week of suspension. I'm like, thanks. And then I sit here with my account suspended, and I get hooligan comments on all my old videos of people saying, Jeff must have quit. He must have wrapped it up. He hasn't been live in 3 days. That fucker is being lazy. He must have took a vacation. Really, I'm just sitting here crying my eyes out, watching these comments. I can't even respond. I'm just like, no, guys, they got me locked in a hole and you're talking shit about me. That's how it goes. Let's get this started.
Maybe hard to believe, but vandals are ripping down the posters of innocent children, civilians being held by Hamas. Some Americans are standing guard to protect those flyers. And yesterday, the NYPD had to break up a fight over a protester tearing down signs about children.
Why are you taking down? You have my number. No, don't touch me. Don't touch me. No, don't touch me. No, don't touch me. I don't give a Get the out of here. You're a That is correct. You're touching me. Don't touch me, sir. Don't touch me. You're touching me. Sir, don't touch me. Back off. Hands on me. Hey, guys. We're taking a picture, right? Here we are. Here he is. Don't touch the sign.
While police are calling this a possible hate crime, the New York Times had a different spin on this kind of behavior. They always do. An article titled "How Posters of Kidnapped Israelis Ignited a Firestorm on American Sidewalks." Sounds innocent until you get to this line. But removing the posters has quickly emerged as its own form of protest, a release valve, and also a provocation by those anguished by what they say was the Israeli government's mistreatment of Palestinians in the years before October 7th and since the bombing of Gaza began. So tearing down signs of children, Harris, who are missing and in the hands of Hamas, is a release valve.
Well, look.
Like I said, all that stuff is really stupid to me. We're putting flyers up on poles here in America about stuff that has to do with the Middle East. What does that do? Does nothing. Other Americans see these flyers on the pole, find a reason to get mad, and then tear them off the pole, angering the people who put them on the pole. So now we have Americans in the streets fist fighting each other over paper attached to a public pole, and it all has to do with stuff thousands of miles away across the ocean, where most of us aren't even able to get there and go there and do anything or participate in any way. Why? We just don't have enough to do. We don't have problems. We'll just complain about other people's problems. We'll even fight each other in the street in front of other people, act like an embarrassing bunch of assholes because of stuff going on in another country. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I don't have the energy left after dealing with American life to start complaining about foreign country problems. To just get all mad, let me get dressed, put my pants back on, go outside and fist fight the first guy I can who doesn't agree with me about what's happening in the Middle East. Who's got time for that stuff? Where do you get your energy from? I drink about 15 to 20 cups of coffee in a day and I don't have energy for that crap. So, why? Why does everyone care? Why doesn't anybody care about America as much? You don't see people in London putting missing American children's faces on their poles and fist fighting each other because people are ripping the flyers down and stuff. Nobody's screaming, "Oh, poor America." Why does people care so much? And I don't understand. And I've seen people say, well, there's people from those countries here. Okay, but then that makes them Americans. So why? I still don't understand. If they got family over there, then okay, I guess. But if that's not the case, if that one and only case right there is not your case, then why the hell do you care? You just don't have enough going on in your life? I got shit to do. I could use a secretary. If you're out there screaming and bitching in the streets, I'll let you do all the side work I got if you just want to volunteer to do things. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. That's why the press briefing nonsense. Well, come on, camera. You're pissing me off, camera. That's why the press briefing is just whack right now. They just talk about the Middle East. Who cares? We have our own problems. I don't want bad things to happen to those people. Me bitching or not bitching about it doesn't change whether or not there's bad things happening to those people. So, who cares? Who cares? Let's worry about our stuff. Let's worry about our problems here. I don't know. I don't think it'll ever make sense to me. We're going to read through the chat really quick. We have one more video. It's Josh Hawley. It's actually a long video. It's Josh Hawley he's not really tearing into. He's interviewing this new nominee person, and he's discussing all the censorship we've gone through the last couple of years and asks him directly, would you participate in the censorship of the American people? And the guy claims no, just like the rest of them would. But I think it's really interesting. We got that coming up next. Let's see, Annette, but how are they supposed to find those people over here? We can't help them from here. That's what I don't understand. Like, you're putting missing children's posters up here for kids that are missing overseas. And maybe they would bring those kids here, but I don't know why they would. Most of the kids that get napped here leave the country. Like, within 48 hours, if you're put into human trafficking, you're not even in the country anymore. You're gone. They get you out of the country as fast as possible because of how much surveillance we have here. There's a better chance that you'll get caught and they'll foil your plan the longer you stay in the country. So they try to expedite you out of the country as fast as they can, because then once you're outside of the country, chances are you're not getting found. You're gone. And so I don't think that people in the Middle East are being kidnapped and then brought to America. Now, they might be, but I don't think so. I could totally see them going to a different foreign country where they're not going to be found. They're gone. So printing papers and taping them to, light posts here in America, I don't know what that does. I mean, maybe you're raising awareness or something that there's people kidnapped there, but we got people kidnapped here. I mean, just the border crossers are missing half their kids just trying to come here, let alone our kids. And that's what I mean. Everyone has problems. Why do we care about what's happening in the Middle East? What is the point of caring? Why waste the energy? Stoner, maybe they'll end up in a Wayfair cabinet here. They might. I bet they're on the island. They're probably all on the island right now. And there's the government, just like I was saying yesterday, ignoring the elephant in the room, going, well, there's got to be a problem here, or there's got to be a solution here somewhere. Let's just keep looking. We'll all just keep looking. Don't look at the answer in front of us. We need to keep looking on the floor here. There's going to be a solution somewhere. We just got to find it. And they just lead us on more and more. They probably are. They're probably all on an island right now, enduring terrible things. Jeb, God cares. God cares. Yeah. I don't understand why we need to care, though. Snugs, Jeff flipping his chapstick. It's going to fall off. I'm kind of surprised I don't have, like, carpal tunnel in these fingers, because I just sit here and do this all day, every day. Even when I'm not live, I sit here and flip chapstick. Guess MJ, I disagree. If my neighbor has rats, I will eventually. Yeah, but is the Middle East our neighbor? Really? If Canada was getting bombed, then I would have concerns. If Mexico was getting bombed, I would have concerns. But I don't know. If Greenland was getting bombed, would I have concerns? I don't know. Like, this stuff's overseas. I don't even know that it's real. The only way I can even tell that it even exists is because the TV said so. Well, you know what else the TV says? A bunch of lies. And so I don't know. I don't want bad things to happen to people, but I can't do anything about the bad stuff happening over there, so I'd rather just spend my time elsewhere. Let's see. Breezy, how come you don't save the good videos for the later part of the program, telling everyone where to go to keep watching? Because we just don't really come across that kind of stuff right now. Everything is either censored before we can get to it, and we don't have videos that are that spicy, or everything's being covered up by the Middle East right now. It'll happen again, though. It'll happen again. We just don't have those videos coming up. Dance Master, Connecticut just found mail-in ballots that are no good. In-person hand counting. Yeah. They need to do something about that. They just found that stuff in Muskegon, too. Here in Michigan. Who knows if they're going to do anything about it. We need accountability. That's what we need. That's why the machines are still around. Like, I'm waiting to see that for 2024. Are they going to bring the machines back? The machines that have all the problems. And man, they got big bucks. Those machines got big bucks. Nobody can even say their name because they'll get sued. Even Right Side Broadcasting doesn't say their name because they're worried about being sued. I can't say the name because YouTube is watching. That's why. You're not allowed to say it. If you say the name of those machines, the company name, your video will get flagged if you're a big name. And if you're not Fox News or CNN, then you just get a strike. You cannot talk about the machines. And a lot of it has to do with the same reason that Tucker Carlson was fired. It's part of the agreement. And the people that run those machines is just as big as BlackRock and Vanguard and all that. It's all tied together. And so the bad guys, like the machines might as well be named Voldemort. We're not allowed to say their name. Well, then how the hell do you know who the bad guy is? Like, isn't that convenient? You can't even say the name of the whole thing corrupting 2020 and probably will corrupt 2024. Can't even say their name. Isn't that convenient? Prison Hug, I don't understand shapeshifters either. Me either, bud. Me either. Those people can't stand themselves to the point where they mutilate their own body. And then they have the nerve to come and tell us on how we need to be progressive and more thoughtful and caring of others. What are you talking about? You can't stand yourself. You turned your wiener inside out and you want to tell me how I'm supposed to live my life? Like, come on, man. Yeah, those shapeshifters, they're something else. Prison Hug, when they run your license, it'll come back as officer safety. When they run my plate, there's a big red banner that says violent offender above my face on the reading, but then in little words below it, it says concealed carry holder, and it has a little picture of my concealed carry license. And so I'm a violent offender that can legally carry a firearm. And the officer's like, we're not pulling that guy over. Fuck that. I like it. I like that they leave me alone. I see cops run up on my ass like everyone's experienced in life. And after about 5 minutes, they're about 6-7 car lengths behind me. They're not trying to pull me over. And I'm like, I'm happy about it. I'm not ever doing anything wrong. So they can pull me over if they want to. Chances are I might get shot in the face while they scream taser. I don't know. But I know 100% I won't be deserving it. I don't do anything wrong. I drive like an old man. Not old man Walter, where you just crash the Cadillac and keep driving like you didn't do anything wrong. Not that old. But I come to a firm stop every time there's a stop sign or a red light and the people behind me try and rear end me. There's something they call a Michigan stop here, where you just kind of tap the brakes really quick to throw everybody in the car forward and you go, yep, we stopped, and then you just turn the corner. I don't do that. Makes me less of a Michigander, as I've been told, but that's all right. Rather not go to jail or get shot in the face at a traffic stop. What's up, Tom Tom? Happy freedom. Let's see. Just flipping through really quick. Ron, hand counting paper still happens in Canada. That's what needs to happen here. All this digital crap it's ruining us. Fitzy. Jeff is down in the well. I know. And it sucks. They should have some sort of notice. Like, if YouTube strikes me, there should be a notice on my account or something, like currently suspended. So then hooligans don't think I'm just taking the day off. Well, you know, honestly, you guys should just leave YouTube. Really, that's what you should do. But still, it just kills me. Just sitting here reading the comments, everybody thinks I disappeared and really I'm being punished for talking. Adrian, Reagan signed the legislation that gave pharmaceutical companies protection from being sued for the jabby jab in '86. I didn't know that. You guys know a lot about Reagan. What's up, Fred? Happy freedom. I mean, you've missed pretty much the whole show, but the replay will be available soon. You be safe out there, Annette. I appreciate you being here. Alright, so we're going to cover this last video here. It's titled, Do You Think That This Is Wrong? This is Josh Hawley, who I think is a badass. He's asking Biden nominee if he would censor Americans. Now, this video is almost 8 minutes long. Generally, I don't pull videos that are longer than 4 or 5 minutes, just because I don't want to, put you guys through it. But this is a good video. Like, this is a good one. It was able to hold my attention for the whole 8 minutes. And I think Josh Hawley is a pretty straight shooter, and I like that about him. So I think that this will be a good watch. It's not really going to be breaking in from any information. It's more confirmation of how we all feel about being censored. And it's just, like I said, it's a confirmation that it is happening while we live in this world where the White House is lying to us, telling us we're not censored. We make plenty of money. There is no inflation. Gas prices are down. Everything's great. We're just ungrateful, spoiled Americans, and we need to shut our ass up and sit down somewhere. Well, Josh Hawley doesn't feel the same. And so we're going to see that here in this video.
Thank you, Senator Hassan. Senator Hawley, you're recognized for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to the nominees. Thanks for being here. Mr. Cooker, let me start with you. Are you familiar with the case Missouri versus Biden from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals?
I'm vaguely familiar, sir, from what I've read in the open press.
Well, let me refresh your memory. This is the case in which first the federal district court, then the federal court of appeals, held that the White House and assorted other various federal agencies violated the First Amendment of the United States, illegal actions, unconstitutional actions, by coercing and colluding with the biggest social media corporations in the world to suppress and censor protected speech. Let me just read you a few passages. Officials from the White House began communicating with social media companies, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, in early 2021. From the outset, that came with requests to take down flagged content. In one email, a White House official told a platform to take down a post ASAP and instructed it to keep an eye out for tweets that fall in the same genre so that they could be removed.
It was a Jeff Mack post.
An official told a platform to remove an account immediately and said he could not stress the degree to which this needs to be resolved immediately. The court goes on to find, these are findings, by the way, not allegations, findings. Those requests for removal were met. The court goes on. The White House did not only flag content, they started monitoring the platform's moderation activities too, and they often asked for and received frequent updates to the platform's moderation policies. They not only continued the platforms to take down content the officials flagged and provided requested data to the White House, they also changed their moderation policies expressly in accordance with the White House's wishes. Bottom line here, the court found that the White House successfully pressured and coerced, once again, the biggest corporations in the world to censor Americans. And here's how the court summarized it. They said it was a coordinated campaign of unprecedented magnitude, orchestrated by federal officials that jeopardized a fundamental aspect of American life. That's pretty strong language. This is pretty bad stuff. Do you think that this is wrong, Mr. Coker? Do you think that the White House meeting with social media corporations and pressuring them to censor protected speech by Americans is wrong?
Sir, with regards to ONCD, we do not have a role related to that. We're focused on the digital infrastructure and the digital ecosystem. And that's where ONCD is today, and if confirmed, I presume that's the roadmap that ONCD would continue to follow.
You wouldn't see it as any part of your remit to meet with social media corporations?
I would meet with whatever entity, if confirmed, that could help build and maintain a more defensible digital infrastructure and a more resilient digital infrastructure.
You would be against any efforts to use your office or any other office you have put input in the White House, if you were to be confirmed here, to censor or manipulate or otherwise engage in unconstitutional activities?
I am a proponent, a strong proponent of First and Fourth Amendment free speech and privacy. I do not see any role in ONCD in that area. But again, if I could speak personally, censorship is not an area that I personally believe in. I'm an advocate for constitutionally protected speech.
Good. I ask you because cybersecurity is often cited, and you can see it in this decision, is often cited as a reason to censor I mean, this is part of the rationale that the White House and the FBI and DHS all used, according to these federal courts, to go to these big corporations and say, you've got to do what we tell you to do. And the finding of the court was the government basically turned these corporations into an arm of the federal government. I emphasize the biggest corporations on the planet with the most extensive control of speech on the planet, and our government used them, turned them into an arm of itself, and went, in some cases, post by post, and said, take this down, take that down, censor this person. In my home state of Missouri, parents who were trying to circulate a petition about school policy with regard to masks had their posts taken down at the direction of the White House. This isn't in a novel. This happened. And for all I know, is still happening in this country. So I just want to make sure, Mr. Coker, that you're going to be a voice for the First Amendment. And if somebody comes to you and says, you need to go and meet with these social media companies and you need to do this stuff, you need to tell them, take down those posts, I don't like that, we're threatening you, you'll say, no how, no way.
Sir, I took my first oath to the Constitution when I was 17 years old, and I've taken it periodically ever since. There's no stronger advocate for the United States Constitution to include all amendments than I am, sir.
Well, good. Well, you would be a breath of fresh air in that regard in this White House. Let me ask you something else. Am I right in thinking that you have served, maybe you currently serve as a senior advisory group member within ODNI, Office of the Director of National Intelligence?
I have worked some projects for ODNI.
Okay. Have you been involved in any discussions regarding ODNI's obligation to declassify information about the links between the Wuhan Institute for Virology and the COVID-19 pandemic?
Not at all, sir.
Okay. Do you know what I'm referring to here?
No, sir, I don't.
Well, we passed a law. I say we, I mean this body passed a law. We passed it unanimously out of the Senate. It was passed by the House of Representatives. It was signed by the President. I happen to know something about it because I wrote it. And it requires ODNI, requires, not requests, requires ODNI to declassify. I believe the language that we settled on is any and all information, pretty broad, any and all information related to the origins of COVID-19. ODNI has not complied with that statutory obligation. They had a deadline. They blew right through it. When they finally did give us information, they gave us a 5-page summary. They gave us no actual information, none of the detail required in the statute. They have basically, I know this is a family hearing, Mr. Chairman. They've basically given us the finger, put it that way. I know, just too bad. We're not going to comply. I can't tell you how destructive I think that is, not just to the relationship between the White House and Congress, but to the basic rule of law. The American people have a right to expect the laws will be followed, and also when it comes to something like COVID-19, that their government will be honest with them about what they know. That's what this law requires, what they know. So if you're confirmed, will you commit to us, Mr. Coker, that you will comply with statutes duly enacted that this body, Congress, enacts and writes into law?
Absolutely, sir.
All right. Very good. Thank you. I'll have some other questions for you all. I'll submit them for the record. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I thought that was a good video. I like Josh Hawley. Every time he's showing up to do work, that's what he does. The first time I seen Josh Hawley, he was calling out Twitter, Facebook, and I want to say YouTube, but YouTube didn't show up to the hearing. They had Zuckerberg and they had Dorsey, I think his name is, when he was still running Twitter, and Hawley set them up for failure and they walked right into it. They was asking them if they were tracking Americans even after they leave the platform, and when they do track Americans and they collect the data, do they share that data with other social media companies for money? And they said no, and then Hawley was like, well, and pulled these big huge screenshots up that he had printed off and was like, it says right here that you're a lying piece of shit, okay? It says you do track Americans even after they leave the platform, even if they never come back to your social media. Just as soon as they make an account, you latch your hooks into them, and then you track them everywhere they go on the internet. You take those profiles that you make and collect all that data, and then you sell them to other social media companies, so those social media companies can also track those Americans. And then they were like, well, we'll have to get back to you when we gather more information about that, blah, 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 blah. And of course, then, like, I doubt they even had another hearing. They didn't, as far as I know. And Josh Hawley just called him out. And I like that. And, you know, like he was today, he's a little smug, but I like that. It's kind of how Trump is, too. They're a little pretentious, a little smug, but it's necessary when you're sitting there in hearings with snakes and wolves. It's all right. It's appropriate to be a little bit smug. And so I like that. I don't know who that nominee guy is, but if he believes in his oath to the Constitution, then that's a good start. So I looked up what is the ODNI, because I didn't know what that was. And I don't know if you guys know what it is. So I looked it up. The ODNI is the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So apparently that's who he's a nominee for, is to run for that office. And if that's who specifically is making contact with social media so they can pull people like me and you down, maybe this guy would be fit for the job if he believes in the Constitution. And as long as they got Section 230, social media will continue to screw us. But it's the heavy influence from the government that is making them screw all of us. And that's why we're seeing mistreatment. Like on YouTube, where you can watch 5 or 6 people show a video and they're fine, but then I show it and all of a sudden I'm getting strikes and suspensions, just like I was demonetized. I was demonetized for taking other people's content and uploading it to my channel without editing it or contributing to the video at all. Now, obviously, that's not true. Everything you see on the screen right now, I made. I created it. Yeah, the video we just showed with Josh Hawley belongs to Forbes or something, yes. But all the scenery around it, I created. All the commentary, I created. Everything you see right now, I created. And we're still in a single video. So all the videos shown so far are just a part of this one video. So the accusations that YouTube is accusing me of, and the whole point of them demonetizing me, is not true. None of it's true. So how do you fight back against something that's not actually happening? Well, you don't really have a whole lot of tools here to do that. Now, they want me to record a video and show them exactly how I make my content, the software I use, the programs I use, how I write the stuff, how I find this stuff. I mean, they want to hover over me while I create content. And I have to cram it all into a 5-minute video, which I don't know how I'm going to do. And it's why I haven't done it. I've been able to apply for remonetization since October 18th. And we're now in November. Because I just can't bring myself to make the video because they're a bunch of bastards. YouTube is full of tyrants that are being led by tyrants that work in the White House. And they got a target over me, and there ain't nothing I can do about it. And I can tell because I'm being mistreated. And it's not a cry for help. We have our own website that's unknockable. You cannot knock our website over, regardless of communist guidelines, regardless of emails from the White House. They cannot knock our website over. I'm not crying over YouTube. We're making it right now. I'm shocked, but I'm also... It's very heartwarming to see so many hooligans see what happens and then actually make it, like, make the jump. Come over to Rumble and switch their membership. Come over to the website and keep us running, and we're making it. And I didn't know if we would when YouTube demonetized us 3 months ago. And we're making it. And I'm so grateful for all of you hooligans. But I'm not eager to get back to YouTube and beg them to remonetize me just so they could turn around and take it away again. I'm not eager to go back and do that. And that's why you don't see me making a big deal about applying for remonetization. It's false hope. That shit is hopium. What is going on, camera? I'm going to have to clean this lens or something. That's a new thing. This whole blurring thing. I don't know. I'm going to have to turn off the autofocus. But hopefully you see what I'm saying here. I'm not getting on my knees and begging YouTube to remonetize me so we can all celebrate for a week and have them decide that they come up with another reason to pull me down. Especially if the government's sending them emails telling them to do stuff like that. Now, I don't think the government's saying, you know, get Jeff Mack. I don't think that's what's happening. I hope not. I hope that's not what's happening. But I obviously fit the bill for some sort of framing that they have. And they are mistreating me. And that's just too bad. That's the reality of the situation. I don't need you guys to cry for me or anything like that. Fuck YouTube. We're live in plenty of other places. And like I mentioned earlier in the YouTube chat, I'm like this close to not even going live on YouTube anymore. I'm not interested. I'm just not. They're shitting on everybody. It's not just me. You go on Twitter, There's people all over the place that are they're either getting suspended or they're getting banned, and these are big official channels that aren't doing anything wrong. They're just putting out content, and YouTube is deciding that they're not good enough. And it's like, okay, we'll go to Rumble. And that's why I just keep telling everybody, go to Rumble. And if you really want to support what I do, go to jeffmaclive.com. Everything else is just extra. It's just extra. But the government should not be censoring us. I mean, that's all there is to it. And it sucks that somebody as close to government as Josh Hawley and everybody around him are sitting there reading documents about how the government coerced social media companies to censor the American people, and nothing's being done about it. There's just nothing being done about it. They're trying to get this new guy to come work in the Office of National Intelligence, hoping that he won't influence those companies to do more censorship. How about we throw the people who did do the censorship in prison forever? Forever. And if they starve and die there, then that's too bad. That's too bad. They shouldn't have committed crimes against the American people. How about that? Like, we need to bring that back. There needs to be a fear of threatening the rights of the American people. There needs to be consequences for that. And it sucks to see someone like Josh Hawley sit there and talk about it as if we're discussing what we're going to eat for dinner, instead of actually discussing the consequences for these actions that have already happened over the last couple of years. And that's just my opinion on it. And I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. We're going to read through the chat really quick. Cat Daniels, you sit your ass down. You're grounded. You hear me? You're grounded. That is all the coffee I had for you hooligans today. We are going to read through the chat really quick. See what all you guys think about that last video and my small little TED Talk I just did right there. While I'm reading through, I'm going to drop this Linktree link if you would like to make donations using the donation links, or if you would like to join membership programs or purchase some merch to support the live and, well, all the problems going on in my life. I would really appreciate all of that. What I ask is that you join Gilded, though. Gilded is free. You can access it from your desktop. You can access it from your phone by downloading the app. It is the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live, every time we go live. The hooligans are there keeping the conversation going 24/7. If you would like to come hang out with everybody as we discuss everything going on in our lives and in politics and the news around the world. And if you're not about mingling and you're a little bit more of an introvert, you can go check out the news board that is constantly updated so you can stay up to date with everything going on around the world. On top of Gilded, if you were really feeling saucy, you can go join jeffmaclive.com. If you click that link at the top of the link tree, you can go see the website for free. You can watch the live there. We have our own social media. We have a very advanced messaging system that gives you ability to do more than you could do on any other social media platform at all. Like, we are top of the top there, and you get a free week to check it all out. Clicking that link at the top of the link tree. It's not a trial. It's just a free week. So you're not going to be charged or anything like that. So come check out the cool stuff we're doing over on the website. All right, we're going to read through the chat really quick, and we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to wrap this up. The Orange Eagle is supposed to be live in like 45 minutes. I have a lot to do in the next 45 minutes. I have to see if my car is fixed or in need of fixing, and I won't know until I call them, and I can't call them until I get done with the live. So I'm cramming a whole bunch in here in the next 45 minutes. I'm going to try my best to go live to show the Orange Eagle. We can't show it on YouTube because of the community guidelines over there, but we will be showing it everywhere else. 5 p.m. Eastern time, like I said, 45 minutes from now. Let's see, Cassandra, yeah, YouTube is really taking it too far. Well, now they're starting to give trouble to users that are using ad blockers. So if you go to YouTube and you have an ad blocker on, I guess it blacks the screen out or something. But now viewers are starting to get threats saying like, hey, if you watch too many videos with an ad blocker, we're going to like suspend your account or something like that. So they're not only punishing creators for no reason, they're finding reasons to punish viewers. And I've been telling you guys this, and I still think it's the plan. They don't care about creators, and they don't care about viewers. YouTube is trying to create YouTube TV. They've already created it, but they're trying to make it a big deal because they want to compete with Netflix. That's why you can rent and purchase movies through YouTube now. There's no community guidelines with that. They're purchasing the rights to play the movie, then they're charging you money to watch the movies. You don't have a way to comment or engage, you just watch the movie or you don't. So that means all the staff they have to check content isn't necessary now. all the rules and the staff they have to check viewers and their comments and the way they engage with videos, it's not necessary anymore. They'll just be customers and a catalog of videos, and that's all YouTube is going to be. They're getting rid of people like me, and they're getting rid of people like you. They don't care. And that's why, like, asking customer service for help and stuff, that's why it doesn't matter. That's why appealing for strikes and stuff doesn't matter. They don't care about us. They're in it for the money. And I mean, that's probably a ridiculous thing to say because, of course, they're a business. But they don't care. Creators and viewers, you guys are out the window. I'm out the window. They only care about customers and people willing to purchase or rent movies. And that's where they're heading. That's the way it's going. They're not worried about stepping on anybody's toes. Let's see. Just reading through chat. SEPA add-on seems to bypass anti-ad blockers on YouTube. There's a couple ad blockers that I guess have created features to get around the YouTube stuff. That's right. But it'll continue to be a struggle. And eventually, when people find enough ways to get around the YouTube ad blocking stuff, they'll just start punishing you directly. They'll start banning your IP address and stuff. If it goes back and forth long enough, that's what they're going to do. There's no point in waiting for it. There's no point in waiting for it. We go live in like 9 locations. And the biggest argument I hear is, well, there's other people I watch on YouTube other than you. And I understand that. I know you guys don't have YouTube accounts just to come watch little old me. I know that. But they're mistreating you. They're mistreating me. They're mistreating the other creators that you watch. And everybody's running to Rumble. That's what's happening. Everybody's running to Rumble. Let's see. Murphy's Law, I'm only on Rumble. Not only did I lose my YouTube channel after 6 years, I think I'm banned for life. They never allowed me to make another account. Rumble rules. Yeah, they probably banned your IP address. That's what they do. That's why sometimes you see creators get banned and make a new channel and they have low numbers. And then other people get banned and then you never hear from them again. And it's because their IP address got banned. Dance Master, I 100% agree. Communist censoring us needs to go down. Absolutely. Absolutely. Murphy's Law, I lost my YouTube channel. Much of the stuff was they changed the rules and went to past videos. Yes. That's like the biggest downfall on YouTube is you could be totally in the green, totally in the clear, and they'll change some community guidelines. And now 13 of your videos get flagged. If 3 of them catch strikes, you're gone. You're gone. And it's happened so many times. In 2021, that was a big thing. As soon as 2021 hit, which ironically is when Josh Hawley said the censorship started from the White House, my videos were getting flagged from 2020. And it was always a rally video with President Trump. It was like 18 videos one night got flagged. And they were like, you have to take these down because they're breaking community guidelines. We think you didn't know that. That's why you're not catching a strike. And they made me take those videos down. And it was all President Trump. And it's right when the censorship started, according to what Josh Hawley just said. It's no good. It's no good. Let's see. Reading through. Ralph, you don't work too hard. Working on cars makes you old fast. Don't work too hard. Gonzo, you think Odyssey is going to go down? Why? Odyssey shows whatever they want. I've even heard that they have not good stuff on Odyssey. Like minors. Like not good stuff on there. I've never seen that. I've never actually watched anybody else on Odyssey. But I've heard that there's like bad stuff on there, but I don't know for sure. Murphy's Law, I never monetized my YouTube, that's why it lasted so long. Yeah, they definitely don't care the same as if you're monetized, either or. because when I was monetized, every time I went live, I got a copyright flag, and I would have to cut the audio out of the video at some point. They would force me to do it. And as soon as I got demonetized, I haven't had a copyright flag since. Like, not one. Magic Moon, probably the White House influencing YouTube. It is. It is. Mad Moon, Brave browser works on YouTube with no ads so far. Yeah, that's what I use. I didn't know that was going to happen, but yeah, if you use the Brave browser, it blocks the ads, and it doesn't cause issues while it does that. Hey, I appreciate you, Combat Vet. Snooks, Klaus owns Jeff. Yeah, I'm Klaus's emotional support animal. Let's see. Dad, also the people that were in the kidnapping of the governor were all moved to federal prison. I seen that for Whitmer. Most of them were federal agents. Most of them were FBI. And then there was only 2 or 3 people that were actually just normal Americans who were all caught up in that. They're also saying that there's a story that the governor's kidnapping thing had a really orchestrated plan. And then there's another story out there saying that it was just a couple of guys drinking beer, talking shit on what they would do if they had the opportunity, you know, if they were going to run a scheme to kidnap the governor or whatever. And they just logged into their Facebook messages and saw that conversation and then went after those guys. Then, God only knows what the true story is. But they were supposed to be sentenced and all that stuff as far as I remember. But then I seen an article saying, why were they just moved to a federal prison? That's not what's supposed to be happening. But who's going to go save those people? Who's going to go do something about it? Probably nobody. And that's the scary thing. Snooks, I love how Klaus talks to you so much. Me and Klaus talk all the time. That's why he's stuck in the house with me, or I'm stuck in the house with him. I'm not sure. I guess it goes day by day. But yeah, he's a talker. He's a talker. Adrian never saw bad stuff on Odyssey, but I don't look for it either. I don't either. I said something on Twitter. I was like, oh yeah, you guys should go to Odyssey or something like that in a comment section. And somebody replied and was like, Odyssey supports kiddie material on their platform and blah blah. And I was like, weird, I ain't never heard that. And then there was a bunch of people who like co-signed it. They were like, yeah, I heard that too. I heard they were trafficking kids on that website. And I was like, okay, I've never heard or seen that. And so I just mentioned it to see what you hooligans had to say about it, but I've never seen it for myself. I don't want to see it, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. What's up, Bagpiper? Happy freedom. Mark, I thought they were found not guilty. I thought so too. I didn't want to say that because I wasn't sure, but I know they're not supposed to be moved to a federal prison in that Governor Whitmer kidnapping case. Bagpiper, I talk to my 2 cats and dog more than any other human. Amen. Tree herder, who is the rotten bastard that gave the thumbs down on the Rumble video? Sam was talking about that on the website like an hour ago. He's like, somebody thumbed down the Rumble video. Whoever does that shows up every day to do that. They show up every single day to thumbs down my Rumble video. Great. I tell you, I don't know what it's like to be soft and stupid, but I see it. I see it happening. Cassandra, yeah, and just take it as a grain of salt. I don't know that Odyssey's allowing inappropriate content on their platform. I've never seen it. I am directly connected to their tech team. I can text them. Like, I'm very connected to Odyssey. I don't think they would support that kind of material on their platform. But somebody said that to me, and I just mentioned that someone said it to me. I don't think the Odyssey is a bad place. I don't think that they allow bad things. I just was told that. Well, hooligans, as I said, that is all the coffee I had for you guys today. I got to get off of here because I got to call and see what's going on with the car, figure that stuff out, and I will let you guys know about covering the Orange Eagle in 30 minutes. Make sure you're a part of Gilded or jeffmaclive.com. That way you guys will receive the notifications, or at least, an update on what's going on for us covering the Orange Eagle. He's supposed to be in Houston, Texas. I won't know until after I call about my car, because if they said the car is ready to go, I'm going to get it. I mean, I love showing Trump and all that stuff. I need to get out of this house. It's been 27 days. I need to, if they give me the green light, I'm going, okay? I'm sorry, but I'm going. But if they say, no, it's not ready, they got to do other stuff or whatever, then we're going to be showing the Orange Eagle. It will be showed everywhere except for YouTube, and that is because of their communist guidelines. Otherwise, I used to. I can't keep catching strikes. I can't keep getting mistreated over silly little things like showing President Trump. So it is what it is. I appreciate all of you hooligans being here. Let's see, just reading through one more time really quick. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are going to wrap this up. Hey, I appreciate you, Mr. Beansy Beans. Account termination. Just discovered Odyssey last night. Yeah, they need to do a little bit more advertising. I think people aren't aware that they're there. I think that they're still waiting on some big update that's coming, and maybe that's why they're not doing a lot of advertising. I'm not sure. They just broke away from them LBRY credits or whatever they had. Something happened with the crypto system, and I don't think they're a part of it anymore. And so that was something that just happened with them. But I think they got a new update coming, and maybe they'll do more promotion afterwards. I just noticed the same thing about DLive. DLive was just like missing for a long time. Now they're doing tons of promotion and stuff, trying to get more people to come to the platform. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things go. Robots being tested at White Castle. Yeah. Well, and that was something I was going to mention. I totally forgot. Old man Walter went out there and told the world about AI. They're investing in AI. But what I guess that means is they're building a floating facility that's going to be in the ocean to do AI development, because then there's no laws that they have to follow, because they'll be just free floating in the ocean. So there's no country laws that they have to abide to. And that worries me what they're going to do. But it's supposed to be a floating facility with its own military and its own staff of developers, and it's supposed to have all these computers and all this hardware and all this stuff, and they're going to develop the world's best AI for government purposes. And we'll see how that goes. I don't have a whole lot of videos or anything that I've seen that meet the quality that I like to try and provide to you guys, but I have eyes open, and I did want to mention that earlier, and I forgot until just right now. But maybe tomorrow I'll be able to find something to show you guys more of that, because our government's trying to do some weird AI stuff, and maybe it has to do with Project Bluebeam. I mean, I could totally see that being connected. We'll see when I find more information on it. Fitz, yes, the next crypto Ocean Gate. I mean, it doesn't matter what we call it if no one's ever held accountable. Like, that's the problem. Is it treason if nobody is, boots swinging? Like, I don't know. I don't want bad things to happen to people, but there needs to be accountability. You can't keep shitting on the American people and getting away with it, Miss Jamie, what's the first song you're going to play when you pick up your car? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I try not to get my hopes up about getting the car, but now I'm not really at the point of getting my hopes up. I'm kind of desperate. I'm like, I need to get out of this house. I need to get away from the cat. Like, just need to leave. Anyways, I'm running us out of time here. I appreciate all of you hooligans being here. Big shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership programs, or purchased any merch. I really appreciate all of you hooligans, and I wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much for all your support. I'll see you on the next live. Until then, stand tall, shine bright. Oh, no. We need to do the pledge. You guys, I'm catching on. Sorry, hooligans, I'm getting all discombobulated. Orange Eagle coming up. Call the car. Get the pledge. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, hooligans. Klaus Daniels, go sit your ass down. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You hear this cat? I don't know what he's doing. He's tearing stuff up. Everything's all falling apart at once. That's how it goes. Either way, I gotta get out of here. I gotta call the shop. We gotta see about the Orange Eagle and all that. I appreciate all of you guys. Till next time, stand tall, shine bright. That's a wrap.